Energy blast, fill your cup. Old school, new school, never stop. It's a vibe, it's a drop, it's a pop, pop, pop. From the ninjas in the hidden mist to the stars where the myths exist. Villains rise, heroes fight. We're breaking it down every night. Anime dreams in neon glow. Unfold the tales you need to know. From action-packed to heartfelt scenes, we're unlocking all your dreams. Anime dreams in neon glow. Unfold the tales you need to know. From action-packed to heartfelt scenes, we're unlocking all your dreams. Anime dreams in neon glow. Unfold the tales you need to know. From action-packed to heartfelt scenes, we're unlocking all your dreams.
Latest Friday. I know it's been a while. Sick. Forgive me for that. Looking kind of rough a bit. Yeah, I was fighting with a grizzly bear and I take my care. So I decided I have to be an African grizzly bear. Whoop that bear ass a couple of times, two or three. Take back my territory and say this is what it is. This is my home turf. So how you guys doing? Um, Tonight's show will be a very interesting, and I apologize first and foremost. I apologize for last week. I was sick. I was in my, I was out of it. I understand that I have a show to, but I don't want to come to the show looking half than what I am supposed to be. And we want to address those future shows as soon as possible because there's a lot of conversation that me and my co-host will have been talking about behind the scenes because we are two crazy ass nerds. We go back and forth. Don't know what it's like when you have ideas and going back and forth, figuring out the structure of the conversation, how you go about it, and how you're going to present it to you guys. Because the show for what it is, Anime Unlocked. This wasn't no regular show. You will get grimy, you will get dirty with it. It's it's more so like saying we're not going to give you a have that type of conversation. We will bring out some points, some views that either I see it in my way that I think there's something wrong with it, while he might see it from his angle, feel like they need to be spoke upon because we are two big, hungry ass fans and come to the anime community. And we're not having them type of deep type of conversation structure in a way I think that you guys will enjoy. Also, I will say this. All our past show that we have done so far, we are hoping, when I mean hoping, we're hoping we'll take some criticism. Meaning if we didn't act the way you wanted it to be, if we miss a hint or two, if we miss a particular point of view, we expect your criticism to be critical for us so that we can look back on that show and see if we have missed an angle or we missed a particular talking point or you must have stepped on the wrong angle, fit your needs. You might think, you know what, you were wrong for this topic. I think this could have been this way. Then you'll say, you know what, we can address. Just let them know that we got your attention. Hey, Eric, how you doing? Good to see you. Oh, you're about to Michelle from Fandom. I hope to see you here in the conversation. That would be great because this is something about the show that I take very, very serious. A lot of us are either we are old school fan of anime, either we are new school fan of anime, or you are a casual viewer of anime, or you're trying to find the direction on why you find out everybody. Because okay, that is some of my co-hosts. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my yin to my yang, my craziness. This is Wally. How you guys doing,
What's going
Wally?
on, ladies and gentlemen? We are back.
Sorry for the unusual hiatus. And happy Thanksgiving to everybody out here. I hope you have more than enough to eat.
Throughout the holidays.
I try. I know. I try my best, do as much as I can. Luckily, I was able to get my tongue on octave for the first time in I don't know how many years. I thought I did on octave. That's crazy. I can't remember when the last I had octave.
Say it again.
I think my tape. I can't remember the last time I had octave. I'm trying to remember last, and kind of like I'm trying to think. I'm like, damn, was it a year ago too?
All right. What's going on,
Sorry,
Eric?
me.
Yeah, thanks for the suggestion for the person to come through. Hopefully they make it. Or they tune in and listen.
Yeah, because you have a friend called Michelle. She'll probably be showing up soon. And she'll show them in the conversation because, like I mentioned, this show is where we trying to structure our show because we realize we have many different either you're beginners in anime or you from the first wave, like Eric was saying, the first wave that came in the US, started back in the 90s, or you were diehard anime, more like a historian. So now we did a show about that. And we did a breakdown because, like I was saying before, Wally came on, me and Walla, we go back and forth. Like, not saying we're going back and forth. We talked about what's going on in prison right now in the manga community. Who contribute the when we did the show about the big three for each era, it was done in a proper aspect. Even though we get a lot of honorable mention, we have potential shows that who's how can I say, and I'm gonna see if we can get it done during the weekday in the early time, or we can still do it at night. I'm not sure. It depends on the viewers. Right now, time zone. Hey, Mr. Bennett, how you doing?
Yeah,
Happy
Anderson,
holidays.
can
I
you see?
hope
Yeah, we can. We
not
can.
over more. You need to get back to
Oh
your
yeah, don't forget to send
gym
Mr.
work.
Bennett the link.
Okay, let me just drop about the link.
Yeah, because
You get to your
Mr.
comment.
Bennett.
Second.
Um,
I know there's a
so
slight glitch on my end. I'm trying to fix that, so don't get out of hand. I'm gonna drop the links. Give me a second. For this topic, character depiction and representation, it is something I would say it's somewhat critical at the same time, not critical, because you and I have gone deep. When I say we have gone deep in this conversation.
Give it to
Ugh.
the other side. Bad thinking.
Yeah. Once again,
Right.
Wale
So,
Haitian, the go. Shout out to him.
yeah.
Or credit it too.
Well,
So
yeah.
go ahead,
So,
Wale. How you want to go
ladies and
about
gentlemen.
describing this show?
Well, yeah. So pretty much this was, well, first and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, give thanks to one of the many people of the channel, aka our president, Paul Bennett. He brought up a particular topic of an article about certain characters in anime as far as representation, but it also lingered into the idea of him questioning how would you know each segue of characters, how do you know to identify them as maybe if they're quote unquote Caucasian, Black, Japanese, and so on and so forth. How do we understand these different variations of different characters and how their design look is depicted, right? Now, granted, I'll sit here and tell you this for the examples of that of which we were going to use and how you understand to recognize certain people are it's going to be very tough because that was a whole nother segue of a long list of how you understand it. So I will be dropping names, we'll drop imagery so you can see the character and know what they look like. But overall, we will not have an in-depth I wasn't telling you to bring the article.
That's my bad. That's my bad.
You brought the article. Okay, you brought the article.
Usually it just loads it on. I brought
Okay, because I was about to say, like, who brought this article in?
Because I said present, and it usually keeps it on the side, and then I go and say, okay, you can bring it up.
Oh,
now.
yeah.
So
yeah,
that was,
no
I was just make sure I had it in the back there.
Yeah, no problem.
But thanks for having, first of all, thanks for having me. That's just my first time on the show.
No problem.
Being here.
No problem. As far as someone from more so the comic side than you are on the anime side, is like this is more of a good thing for like people that if you don't understand anime and how to depict certain people, this will be like a nice little teaching grounds of how to understand how anime characterization is developed and drawn out, then to the whole point of understanding like what you're dealing with within anime itself, but at the same time understanding furthermore as far as when I lay out certain characters and how they visually look, you can tell like is there different nuances of representation throughout anime in its totality. But with that said, so let's get this started, right? So this is the start right here. Dave, you got it?
Let me read it. Visual language, how line, shape, and color define character. Key identifier. Facial structure. The face shape is the first indicator. Showing character often have angular chin and sharp jawline to indicate resilience. Shoujo character may have softer, rounder face to emphasize youth and emotion. The line weight. Thick line often donate strength, bonus, or a pop aesthetic common in action series. Thin dedicated line subjective fragility, elegant, or integral detail, common in romance and historical drama. Now, it's not just that you look at it that way. When it comes to facial structure, most anime or manga mostly particular to the Asian culture aspect at first. But when you start to see more and more manga that based on different storyline, I remember you mentioned in past show, they will have anime that based on Japanese history. Then later on, they start doing anime based on German history, on the English histories, the Chinese history, some even touch based on the African history. It depends on the storyline they're working on. And this is where depiction based on what language do they use or what type of naming convention. Talk about Bleach. There's a lot of Spanish name being used in Bleach that people didn't even catch on to it, but it's toward to a mixture between what they plan to use on their base of the storyline based on how they want to differentiate or show reference. You know, I've gone back and forth picking out multiple anime that using different storyline based on history, based on plot, based on origin, based on location.
Right. There's definitely
And
animes with
in many cases, it's hard to say if they're going to use the dynamic of that particular area or to be a twist.
yeah.
Is that correct? Or tell me if I'm wrong.
No, from what you pretty much laid out, that's pretty much correct.
Okay.
But let's keep on though. Have you catch it, David?
Now, the eye have it, key and identifier. Shumi, that sharp slanted eye, that's mostly in Asian. The eye that angle upward. The typical indicate a character is cool, serious, arrogant, or mature. Common in really exotic characters. Arime, this is spooky artist. Eye that slants down. He significant gentleness, innocence, those are
David, talk clear in the mic.
Can you hear me?
You know what I'm saying? He was
My
sort of
fault for the mic?
It's kind of muffled.
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of muffled.
Yeah.
Right, I apologize. That sound better now?
Yeah, you sound better now.
Yeah, that sound better. Okay.
Yeah.
These indicate gentleness, innocent, or a laid-back personality, often seen in healing character or gentle sidekick. Detail level, complex highlight, and gradient usually mean the character is an emotional complex or a protagonist of a drama. And I think this slide showing from the very beginning is based on the artistic style of their art, from the line, from the eye depiction, because sometimes they add a little more extra detail than necessary. If I'm correct. Going to the next slide.
Right.
I know there's a Japanese culture these things when they're labeling their lines and their design compared to American cultures. Showing the action and dynamism. Oof. Well, this will be a good conversation for sure. Target and demographic, young boys historically. Visual trait is sharp angular autonomy, high contrast shadow, cell shadowing to make action readable, who are often exaggerated. That depends, not all animated often exaggerated on one side. Illustration tech, bold outline weight, dynamic speed line in the background, expression are extreme, with wide and shouting mouth and contract pupil. I think they not a comparison between American and Japanese anime, but there's a fundamental basis behind it.
We only focusing on one side.
Okay, I'm just acting.
Yeah, Lord have mercy. Maybe you're making this a little bit more complex than this. Stay to the standard, okay? Damn it.
I will. I stay to the standard.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Go on, the Shoujo Spark.
Let's see. Okay, right to the emotion and atmosphere target young girls. Oh boy. Historically speaking, visual trait tall, slender, proportion, often 7 to 8 heads tall. Eyes are significantly larger than multiple highlight. I call shoujo sparkles. Illustration tech line are often broken or very thin. Background may dissolve into flowers, bubbles, or the abstract light to represent the character. Internal emotional state rather than physical location.
Very much true.
Okay, sane and realistic. Growth and autonomy. Target demographic: adult men and women. Visual trait: anatomical proportions are closer to real life, which is correct. Facial features include defined nose and lip, often omitted in shonen and shoujo mangas. Wrinkles and blemishes are visible. Illustration tech is desaturating color palette, shading often more detail, using cross hatching and texture brushing to mimic cinematic lighting rather than flat cell shading. That is a whole different technology.
All right. Number 7.
Now, the visual language comes to text, cell, and soft shading, the coloring processes. Cell shading, the industry standards, shadow or apply a distinct shape with sharp edge. It is cheaper to animate and create a classic anime look. Soft shading, compositing, using high budget film like Makoto Shinkai works, gradient and airbrush blend color, post processing effect like bloom, aka glow, cinematic aberration, are added digitally to simulate lens effects. So that sounds like a mixture of art and CGI. You're looking at that type of concept.
Yep. And then this
I
the
hope, it,
last.
I hope you don't get to that CGI argument again.
Well, I mean, let that be what it is.
There's an editor talking about what they do right now, AI cannot reproduce. Evolution of 90 versus modern, analog to digital. 90 cell era, physical paint on celluloid sheet, cataloged by high contrast film grain and slightly imperfect organic line. Color are limited by paint availability. Modern, which is the digital era, vector-based clean line, infinite color palette, integration of 3D CGI background, character are often have thinner, uniform outline and complex digital lighting effects. When I find the time, I will find that link of the article where they're referring to why some editors are saying they don't like the idea of people wanting to use AI into creating their anime. They prefer to do what
Right.
before.
Give me one moment here because I'm trying to get these imagery.
I know we did talk about how the Japanese manga series first started when we were doing the big three. They're looking for a much cheaper way of getting things done so they can put more out there.
Right. All
Now
right.
they're in
So,
positions. Go ahead.
yeah. So we got the other article. Bring that up so we can talk about that because we're gonna line it up a little bit. Well, I'm gonna try to line it up a little bit.
Do you have it uploaded? I don't see it uploaded yet.
I think it's on Paul's side if he has it. I think Paul has it.
Yeah.
Oh, you want me to bring that article up?
Yeah.
You can bring it
Okay,
up.
let me see if I
Yeah,
can do
could
that.
just bring where the actual original idea for the Today Show.
Okay.
So you guys, this to Paul's interest was interesting to him as far as why these certain shows were brung out today, as far as his notice for these are the 10 strongest of the black anime characters. And again, Paul, what was your why would this pique your interest again? Like, let that be known to the fan base.
All right. Well, just to kind of go back a little bit, I am not, I guess, the biggest anime fan in the world, but obviously, I grew up watching a lot of um, uh, anime that was ported to American television, and it was, reformatted, reshaped. So again, my favorite of all time is probably Ninja Team Gotcha Man. That was from 1972. And so that was always a foray, and then there were others as well. And certainly as a Westerner, as someone who wasn't really familiar with it, I would oftentimes talk to fans of anime and manga for that matter. And just one thing that always piqued my curiosity was, well, in terms of how the characters look, why do they have the large eyes, and they don't look necessarily Asian? And I was always told that in anime, the eyes are the mirror, the window to the soul, and so they always wanted to make them large so that they could be expressive in many ways. And so that was always something that I kind of went with. I never quite necessarily I was necessarily satisfied with that answer,
Mhm.
but for a lot of years I just I just accepted it that that's just how characters are drawn.
Oh,
But I
yeah.
never got a sense from a lot of the anime that I did see, that characters were of a Japanese origin, even though they might have had Japanese names. They didn't look like it.
Right.
When I came across this article, the first thing that hit me was in terms of he's saying that the author of this article is saying that, okay, well, these are the 10 strongest black anime characters. One, I don't even know if that was for some of these characters that are listed. I don't even know if that was the intent of the artists, assuming these are Japanese artists, in their world. Are they trying to depict quote unquote black or persons of color? And again, there's a lot, even in this country, we have a lot of conversations in terms of what it means to be black. Is it just simply just our skin color? Is it our history? Is it our experiences? Is it our, culture or whatnot? So that was kind of piqued my interest. So I don't know, like, even when these characters were drawn, I don't know if that was intentional to say, okay, well, we need diversity. I mean, plus also recognize that we live in the United States, which is a relatively diverse population. Whereas in Japan, that's a very monogeneous population. So when they go into these things, there's a Japanese animator or producer saying we need to show diversity, and you could even be bold enough to ask the question: should they be inclined or responsible to show diversity? Now, you could say from a business sense, yeah, probably, because again, I know a lot of persons from all over, regardless of your ethnicity, who love anime. I know a lot of black people who love anime. So again, if you want to sell your product beyond your borders of Japan, around the world, and yeah, you want to reach as many audiences as possible. So it may be a good business sense to have different characters representing different people around the world and that sort of thing. Again, I don't know if that goes into the process or not. But again, even when I looked at the list, I don't know if even the character, is there anything within the anime or the manga for that matter that would classify these people. Okay, these are black people. Some have stronger than others, like Afro Samurai. That's kind of, that's kind of pretty forward. Some other ones, that may be something that may be, coming from another source. So that was really the spark. And then, even the writer, if I go to the next slide, he makes a comment about the diversity, certainly within anime. So if I just go to his opening salvo, it says, despite being unrepresented in the anime world, black characters play a pivotal role in some of its most notable series. And then he talked about there might have been a lack of representation early on, but then the 90s and the 2000s, then you start to see more of it. And he gives, I guess, kudos and credit to that. But is that something that is a conversation within the world of anime in terms of having diverse people and backgrounds and whatnot, or whatever? So that was really kind of behind my thought process. And since you guys talk about anime on a regular basis, and the fact that you guys are black,
let me add to that one.
Yeah,
Brandon Ballard. That's the name.
Let him finish first.
Okay.
No, I'm saying, but that's because you guys, are passionate anime fans, and you certainly come from a black community, that you may have some perspective as well based on your experiences. You read again a whole lot more than I did, that I ever did. And the only thing I wanted to show was going back to that series, and maybe if you allow me to share this, let me see if I can bring this up. Let's see here, window. Let me just show this. Because like I said, this was my first. I was going to add this. I didn't get a chance to add it beforehand. So again, these are the main central characters from Gatchaman. Again, 1972. In the original anime, they're all referred to as Japanese. They all have Japanese names.
Right. But
not clearly looking, especially at the leader, whether you call him Mark or Jason or Ken Wasabi or whatever you call his name. He's clearly, has blue eyes. He doesn't necessarily look like a Japanese person, but this is a Japanese series, and this was 50 years ago. So so again, so it's always been a question in terms of how Japanese see themselves in terms of wanting to present anime. Why not make the characters look more Japanese or whatever? And again, that could be the most ignorant of questions. But again, it's a question even as a kid I recognized that I had. and never quite got an answer to. And
Right.
then, but now you want to say, okay, well, we have these black characters now. Is it even fair to call them black if the storyline or whatever they're presenting doesn't necessarily represent or present them as such? But so that gets into a very social commentary conversation. But I just wanted to again show you guys where my basis was coming from in terms of wanting to explore this a little bit. And again, I appreciate you guys willing to tackle this. And at that point, I can just shut up, and you guys can take the conversation where you want. Or if you have a question for me, you can ask. But
starting from here, before I bring it to David and he can conclude where he was trying to start off as far as a conversation starter. Probably is going to go back to the original post that you had. But from right here, right, it's clear that you can tell like certain things of that. So I would say one and foremost is, well, first and foremost, when you think about an actual Asian person, right, from that region, you have to ask yourself, well, what is a clear, ideal visual sense of them on a natural basis from everyday time, right? Get that idea of like the facial features, all that, and then is it replicated on this as far as where you see in the anime show? Two, also, people got to realize this. Sometimes it's always best to question origins, like background checks, because I'll tell you right now, in looking up for this, I did some work in looking at certain anime characters where they will give you background/identities as far as where they came from, or even like how are you dictating their class, or even from a sense of like gender appreciation, give or take, right? So you get that kind of understanding. So I'm going to share the screen, right? And I'm going to show a potential character to give you something of a understanding from a standpoint of just focusing on like the black side of things, right? Give me a moment.
When he done with this, I want to bring back that article about Brandon Daly because it's something I want to address.
And just to add something else, again, from my very limited experience, the closest thing that I've seen to black representation in anime, these characters that were identified in the article notwithstanding, and I'm not even saying that it was intended that way, but the only thing that looked closest was I remember Boondocks, right? It seemed to borrow or steal from that Japanese anime style in terms of how the characters looked and how they were represented, but you knew the content matter was clearly a sort of a satire on Black American culture and that sort of thing. So that was like, and I know a lot of people who appreciated Boondocks, both for not only its social commentary, but then also that animation that reminded them of the anime that a lot of them appreciated. So.
All right. So real quick, David, look into the private chat for this name. I think it's called, her name is Mochiku
Melandro.
Yeah, Mochiku Melandro. So this character right here, Mr. Paul Bennett, right? As you can see, she got the skin test. She's brown, all that. But in understanding her background, this chick is an Afro-Latina from Brazil. And she plays in an anime called Michiku and Hatchin. So you're right. She's an anime. She got a Japanese name, but origin-wise, she's from Brazil. So she's giving off that representation.
And what I was trying to mention earlier before you started your thing, Brandon Daly, who you say he's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which is very, very close to what I'm trying to find a connection to. Because I remember when on our last show, I mentioned how we found out about an African American brother who's from New Jersey, right? Was able to live his dream to create his own first Black Japanese animation production studio in Japan. But before he got there, there was an interview that circulated on the web whereby it took him a long period of time to even get the chance to build such a thing. Because when it comes to art, the standard of art or animation in the US is not the same as the standard of art or animation in Japan. And they don't do this type of rivalry so that we do out here in the US. Like, how you keep people down.
David, you're
okay, David, you're kind of muffled. You're going in and out.
Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Keep it there. Yeah.
I was bending down when I was talking. What we learned, you come to Japanese animation and Japanese manga, the level of respect that have been pushed down from top to bottom since the beginning, from 1960 to now, and the deep level culture where don't let nobody come in and change that particular culture. If you come to learn how to do art their way, they go respect you. But you got to also understand the process, the standard, the method to it. How you say that the method to the madness.
Mhm.
Same thing with Japanese animation. The method to how they're going about it. Because when we found out that the person who created the black animation studio in Japan, the black brother, is actually a twin brother, the two of them. Only one show here, the other one stay behind the scene. That let me know. I want to ask if I ever get a chance to get a hold of interview with that guy. Does he have any connection with the guy who did Boondock? Because you mentioned they're trying to copy the same style of Japanese animation, but more the satire look of things. Because this is the African American brother who created Boondock, but at the same time, there's another African American brother who created the Japanese animation studio in Japan. My only question is if we can get a chance to do the interview, did he know that individual? Did the connection to the idea, or were they giving reference in between across the board? That could be something to look into in future reference. That was something I was trying to connect the dot with. But Wally, you can carry on.
Yeah, well, real quick, I'm also going to throw this one in here. So, again, Mr. Paul Bennett, seeing this character right here in front of you, Muhammad Abdul. This is from an anime show called JoJo Bizarre Adventures. From one of the, I think this is from the Stan series. But yeah,
From the Stan series, but also were produced by Dot Studio, with also an African American animation production started to work on this too.
well, yeah, but not what I was. Well, yeah, but his character depiction. Wait, give me back because I got to go back to that list.
Oh, before you do that, do you guys want to see from that article, I guess, what he ranked as his top 10?
Oh yeah, we're gonna go back to it. Don't worry.
Okay,
we'll go back.
Yeah. But so his character picture, as you guys can see once again, he is of black skin, everything else. But this character comes from Egypt. He's Egyptian. And of course, anybody that you can find when you look at what was that movie? You remember that movie Butler? I forgot the dude name. When they did that Egyptian movie amongst the Egyptian gods. Forgot that movie.
Oh, Yu-Gi-Oh?
No, I said Butler. You know the guy that played the movie. I forgot the Egyptian god movie that he played.
It was that TV series?
No. Movie. Hold on. I know his name. I just can't remember how to say pronounce his first name, but it's this guy.
He was a butler, right?
No, his last name is Butler.
Joel Butler?
Yeah. He played, I forgot what movie he was, but
God in Egypt?
Yeah, I think it is. You're right. So if you remember, there was a character, I think it was the same guy that played Black Panther. I think he had the image or someone else. But they had a very similar depictive image, or neither on memories for some other show, but they had the same depictable image of this type of hairstyle and look. So again, anime is aware of characters and origins that they come from. I think it's just more so people taking that time to really look into where they come from. So for instance, the anime character of the female in that article that showed that's on the display, most people would not know originally where she comes from because, well, she got the skin, but the hair is in question, right? But, that is something you have to take into consideration. But she's from a series called Bleach, what Dave talked about earlier. And in more cases than not, some of those characters, based upon a specific taste value, could probably come from a Spanish background because mostly than not, when you think about the show, it has sort of a Spanish feel origins because of the idea of death and then the story playing around it that is very well connected in a lot of ways, or even to other cultures that also have relations to that.
AKA Mexico.
Right, which one and then the others are many of the more Caribbean areas as well. So those that play on them. So these are just some small imagery because, of course, there's definitely others as far as like, we can go into white, actual Japanese characters. Give me a moment. So, okay. So let me see here. Okay, Rebecca Lee. So Rebecca Lee from Black Lagoon, if you guys know that character, well, I mean for David, if he knows that character, right? No, not what I was looking up. All right, let me close this and then I'll come back. God damn.
Welcome, Don GQ, to the conversation. Don, you there? Continue.
Let me give me a moment.
Because when you mentioned that character by Muhammad Abdul, right, who's based in Egypt, then there's always been an argument about that people say Egypt was not in Africa, it's actually technically in Africa. The depiction, the art, the look, especially when I mentioned the guy who also worked on that animation from Dot Animation Studio. Which is African.
Speaking to the mic, David.
Oh, sorry, African American owned. He played a lot of work on that particular franchise. We had to get like about maybe 4 or 5 seasons on that.
Share the one I got. Share the image I got.
What a big deal.
So this is Rebecca Lee.
Okay, I see. Oh, you took it out?
You took it down. This is Rebecca Lee from Black Lagoon. So looking at this chick, right? White skin, all this other stuff, right? But if whatever we're not knowing, if you can think about it, she has a clear American look, right? If you just look at it from the natural stance, but she's Chinese American. That's her background.
Mm-hmm.
She's where again?
She's Chinese American. So if you look at her and you see like a clear understanding depiction, you can tell like just looking at her from what you're getting from design and looks. And then of course, if you go back to what David read in as far as the presentation, right, getting the certain sensible vibes of the character and everything else, she sort of does gives you the vibe of an Asian person because of just look at her eyes as far as what you can see on the screen. She sort of is giving you that vibe of that character and then of that background.
Right.
So as one of the many clear depictions. Let me get another one. So okay, right. So Bonnie, right? So Bonnie from the same series, right? This is Bonnie from the same series of Black Lagoon. This guy is Jewish American. That's his background. And it's pretty obvious. You know, it's pretty obvious, pretty clear, pretty obvious. You can just see it for yourself. Right. And then this is actually one of the interesting ones. I think this is okay, yeah. So this is from Bleach. This is a guy that we know as Chad. Now, this is actually going to mess you up when you actually listen to his background. Let me get him on here. So Bleach. So this guy, Mr. Chad. Oh my gosh, sorry about that. So this guy's Chad, right? So he is from Bleach, but lucky enough from Bleach, his depiction is actually Mexican Japanese. That's his background. So you can just tell, knowing that, you know, one, again, it goes back to the idea that we're more linked in this, like Bleach is really linked to like Spanish culture or any of the South region cultures of the borderline as far as their story depiction with life or death. But at the same time, his character is a Mexican Japanese person. That's his background. So again, if no one didn't know that, now you do. You can probably...
But not just that on that character alone. There was a particular arc when they did heavy more to a certain character that fit within his background, Mexican or Latino, because their naming convention, their theme plus the soundtrack that play behind that. You can almost tell that the Spanish fit with it as well. Them who have watched Bleach anime, they can speak on that notion about when you watch it. Him, this main character right here, Chad, and with a few other characters for the Hugo Mondo arc. Look at the name Hugo Mondo. That's more Spanish, like they're based in Mexico or further down South America. They have the
Right.
same characteristic as well.
Right. Now, this particular chick, right, Yuri Pelzetsky, or Pelzetsky, I probably don't know how to spell her name. You can just tell by the name, Russian.
Mhm.
She's Russian. She's Russian background, right?
Mhm.
So again, people have in anime definitely have depicted certain people on an outreach or have given more of a look, right? But I think overall, I think people get caught up with the name, knowing that the name itself can just be transferred or could be converted as far as understanding of what the name background is. Like, okay, like for instance, Naruto. If you look up Sasuke, right, and you say, well, what is the American term of the name Sasuke, right? It may change to a different name or
Right.
give you a meaning within that name, right? To
Right.
understand what that is. Like, for instance, one of our popular animes that we talked here, Dragon Ball. A lot of people's names that are in Dragon Ball are actually veggies if you convert their names over.
Mhm.
Literally.
Right.
So, that is just some of the things right there. So I think
Or
people get
even
caught
though
up.
even though we talk about Dragon Ball, the name is based on veggie, but characteristics. Sometimes if you're not paying attention to it,
Say it
some
again, David. You said
character,
the characters are what?
I say, even though the name is based on vegetable, like veggie,
Uh-huh.
sometimes the characteristic have a lot of undertone based on. Perfect example. You and I have bump head about Piccolo is almost typical of a black man personality trait, even though his name based on a vegetable as well. But at the same time, you will not know what the character is based on. If you're painting to clue detail, then you almost start saying maybe there's a particular trait they're following. For Bleach, for example, there's a lot of Mexican, Spanish culture aspect of it in the anime to a certain degree. There's a lot of Asian attribute aspect in the anime as well. What I think Mr. Paul Better trying to look into is the representation. It's not always the same, but it's also based on the storyteller. Am I correct on that, Wally?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's also based on storytelling. I think the more so for Paul is it's the visual sense. Because it's like if he's looking at it's like because one, think about it, for Paul, it's like one, the name, but also the visual. Because it's like, okay, well, you're saying these are Japanese characters, but when I look at them, they look more so like they're from other regions or more so from American standpoint, just by the look of them. The eyes, everything in context, just their body frame, that's the clear individual. So to the point that we started with the presentation, narrowing down the looks, how you're depicting certain things and all that. Now it's like go back from just looking at people with an actual looking frame. Clear depiction, Afro Samurai, pretty easy, right?
Yeah.
Black
Yeah.
brother, he got an afro, so you know he's from you know what side of the world he's actually from, what origins, the what line of blood he has, everything else of that nature, right? Him and his daddy, which technically his storyline is supposed to be playing off the original black samurai of the Asian world that hasn't been taught to a degree. Now, granted, they did an actual true depiction of that person in a different anime, but that gives you that clear depiction, right? It gives you that clear understanding, clear depiction, all that. And, and everything else of this a totality. And as far as you going deeper into the personalities and everything else. But I would like to even show you a different character because I would sit here and say, well, how do you know when a character is quote unquote an alien or something of a different species? How do you know of that background, right? And the clearest one that I can think of right now off the top of my head that I'm about to show is from Piccolo. This is from DBZ, right? Piccolo from DBZ is no one would know his background, right? But understanding from a sense of story, understanding from a sense of who he is and everything else, you would clearly say Piccolo's black, especially when you hear the tones in his voice. You would believe Piccolo to a degree is black. Just would.
Not just tone alone, his demeanor, his attitude.
Demeanor, attitude, everything. Like you just believe he's black. But the same notion is also, though, that it also comes back from origins. Because when you think about what Piccolo is and his origins and his people's origins, it goes deeper to the point you start to realize, okay, if Piccolo was, someone, hey, Don, you trying to talk?
No, sir.
Okay, we're hearing you. But yeah, But when you hear from his depiction, right, as far as who he is, you would say if Piccolo was someone that was human and living in this world, you more likely link him to someone of an African origin or someone of a, black origin of the Caribbeans. Why? Because of that linkage of mystical artifacts or mystical, abilities. Because of that origin of that historical stuff, it's really in depth. So in the sense of the magical Dragon Balls being able to make wishes and all these other things, you can sort of like link the two components in a sense. You almost say he's around that atmosphere.
But it's another hint. His dress style will make it look like he's like from a desert nomad type of look. Because look at desert nomad. They dress almost similar to the way he dressed. They have a unique type of tie around their waist. They always wear something in case they're out in the desert for a long period of time, just to cover their face or cover their head. Now, their
Right. But you
hairstyle,
can also sit there and say like they're pretty. Yeah, you can also say Piccolo could probably be Indian based upon that as well. Yeah. Now, from another point, I'll also give away this other character, right? That is also a weird case, but it's also an interesting character without you knowing, Mr. Popo, right? Clear depiction. Miss Popo would be one of the many people that is quote unquote dark, right? But he is. But when you look at the clothing and everything else, look, where clearly he comes from. You got the same clothing as Aladdin. You know where he comes from. He comes from that side of the world. He comes from within the more of the African region of India, and then most of those people, right?
Well, yeah,
He
definitely
has that
Southern
Indian
India.
look.
But
Yeah.
now I can look at this just again with my sensitivities, and I can see some people looking at this kind of like minstrel, the way he's drawn, so
Right.
that Al Jolson type of look or whatever. Now again, was that intentional? Was that or just they were trying to depict a very dark skin? I know Southern Indians who are darker than both Wally and David. So I work in the IT field, so I know that they're very dark skinned Asian Indians
including
that are out
Sudan.
there. But just
Including
with the
Sudan.
thick lips, the way it looks, again, if you look at some of those Al Jolson or some of those minstrel depictions, somebody could look at that and be like, oh, that visual doesn't sit right with them just based on the look, even intentional or not. And I'm just saying that if you tried to sell that in America, how would you get blowback because of that? So again, that could be the difference also. And again, I don't know when that character came out, but that could be the difference between, again, when you are working and operating in a mostly homogenous culture where you may not think anything is wrong with a particular depiction, but if you take it outside of that and people look at it, especially in America when that was certainly done, I don't even know if minstrel, you can take that to Africa and they would even know that. To the common African, what they know about minstrel shows or minstrel depictions of African Americans. If you're an African American, if you've studied that history, that picture is like almost like, it's stunning. If you see it anywhere, if I saw that in a display in a shop, I know certain people who would go into that store and say, "Why are you showing that?" So I'm just saying. So that is, I guess, from an American standpoint, that could be problematic. But I'm not trying to incite anyone in terms of saying, "Hey, they're trying to make fun or mimic dark skinned people or show them in certain ways or what have you." But
Right.
but that's sometimes but that's when you're in a multicultural environment or an environment like the US that has the history that it does.
Right.
Not everything is necessarily going to land the way you might intend it to land if you have no experience or knowledge. And again, how many Japanese people would even know that or know about that?
Now,
That's one of
there's
those
some,
things where,
like you said, there's some anime that I've come across where they depict African people as scary individuals, as if you shouldn't take likely to go to their continent, give that continent different nicknames. The most common nickname we call it the dark continent. I was like, at first I didn't catch on. But when you start seeing some depicting, they make it seem like anyone from the dark continent for a very unique warrior tribe. They have some hidden ability, either they're super fast or they got high jump ability. or they're agile to a certain degree whereby it's almost like you can't cast them. So when I see some of those type of anime, I thought the question: do they think of African people as dangerous, mysterious people that to be afraid of? Because when they start drawing
Right.
tribe or certain people that way, it's almost as if you go to their continent, be prepared before you go in there, because there's certain tribes that have very unique ability. Some of unique war they are they come to physical, they love to fight with the fist. Some have the speed, some that, and sometimes being questioning where they getting the idea from.
Yeah.
Not a lot of
Again,
anime does that,
and
but
that's an American, but again, that's also an American. Well, probably I would say even European or outside America also. Again, knowing the history of how people from Africa have been depicted in media, in movies. If you go back to both the original King Kong movie, if you go to the Kong of 1976 remake of it, again, the people in the movie who were persons of color who looked like us were looked at as a bit primitive, somewhat savage. And again, that image of, okay, well, if you go in there, you're going to get a spear in the back, sort of thing. So again, those are things that I think a lot of people are, at least here, or at least the people that I run around, are sensitive to. How we are depicted in any media, movies, TV, anime, or cartoons, or whatever you want to call it. That's always going to be something that some of us who are sensitive to certain things are going to look at. So again, like I said, that character that you just showed,
Yeah, Mr.
or
President.
similar, if you tried to sell that here, that could be problematic.
Well, yeah.
And so that's I guess from my perspective, looking at it from the outside, because like I said, I'm not in that world as deep as that. Those are always some of the questions that I had over the years, but it certainly goes back to what Dave was talking about again. And some of the characters on that top 10 do have that sort of tribal look. They got the markings on their faces, and they just seem like they're like either like a warrior type of people or whatever. And again, is that a necessarily a healthy depiction of black people? But I would say that in any industry, I would say superheroes, for example. You know, how
that word,
many
that's what I was looking for you to say.
how
Superhero.
many black superheroes are looked at as? That's why I think Black Panther, I think why it was so impactful, at least for folks here, is that you saw people who were smart. I mean, Shuri's a scientist. She's smart. She was smarter than Tony Stark and Bruce Banner when they were talking about how do you get the stone, at the Mind Stone, out of Vision, and they were like, oh, why don't you just do it like this? Like, oh, we never thought of that. I mean, to show black people not just only as strong or fierce or whatever, but to show you as smart, I think had a big impact in terms of how people saw themselves, how black girls saw themselves. Yes, you can be a warrior, you can be a Doromology warrior, and you can be smart at the same time. The representation that was there, it showed the best of us, of what we could be, not just some image of what has always been depicted of us. So I think something like that is why it's so powerful. Again, and I don't know if that exists in anime, but I would even say, should I expect it to exist in anime,
Now,
given who's creating the anime?
I'm glad you mentioned that. The name of the anime at the while we're talking about it, called Yasuke. That's about the black samurai who came from Africa. When they depict him, they made him feel like he is a giant, because you understand the Japanese culture. Japanese people are not always tall. They have a unique average height. If I'm correct, that would bring around what, 5'2" to 5'5". Am I correct, Wally? Or maybe I'm wrong. Like average wise.
Hold on.
Now, when you look at the anime called Yasuke, they made the character who from Africa look so, I don't know. I hate the word giant, but they made him look huge. Like he's not normal. He's not what I consider to be a normal human being. To the point whereby they say his shrink is totally unfair. They say his shrink level is not of a regular Asian man level strength. Like if you hold a sword, he have more of a distinct advantage of how to utilize to the fullest of your ability. It got to a point where, according to the storyline, some people consider him almost non-human. They were trying to describe that character like if he's non-human because his strength doesn't make no sense. His speed doesn't make no sense. His agility level doesn't make no sense to the normal people among them. And the things he's able to do, they point as if he's a special breed of his own. Am I wrong, Wally? I'm sure you've seen Yatsuke too, the anime
Haven't
on
seen it.
Netflix.
Oh yeah,
You get- you
I've
get-
seen,
everyone-
I've seen the image in some clips, but not ultimately the whole anime.
Ever
But
watch
I
the
know what
anime?
you're talking about. Yeah.
If you watch the anime, for some period they keep like it's almost like a finger pointer. Like this. He doesn't belong here. He's very unusual. His size, his ability, everything about him speak abnormal. Like he's impossible to deal with. And that's what I was looking at first.
You don't have to put that up yet.
But yet.
No, you don't have to put it up yet. We'll get to that.
So when I saw the anime and I paid attention to the storyline, I was like, what came to mind? They understood how African characteristic it may be, but those understood that how the Japanese would take them as. Because average Japanese people are not always at 5'8", 5'9", 5'10", going up to 6 foot and so on and so forth. They made the character Yasuke, who's from Africa, look like bigger than life. As if he's a sight to bear, because wherever he walk past, you kind of wonder where he come from, what part of wood did he come from. That is one anime. Other animes, you say you have stereotypes, they depict them African as if they're enchanted or they're from a tribe or a clan that you have to be afraid of. Now, I'm not saying it's always helpful, but it's almost more like you're trying to figure out what part of history they're taking it from.
Yeah. Well,
That's
one
a
thing for
question
me,
to ask.
right?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, one thing for me, right? For Paul. So going back to the image of what Mr. Popo was, right? And then asking, is that attended or is that more so a point of you trying to display something? Well, first and foremost, because I understand like the idea, right? AKA the backdrop history of blackface, right? I'm guessing that's more so what you was pitching on at with Mr. Popo. And yes, it could be derogatory as that in that sense, but for honesty, I would not know for sure how that was, because again, you have to ask the creator how you thought of this character that way, and why did you let it be this way? Because again, you have to understand this is an alien, so we don't really have context of why the alien is looked or perceived in this texture.
Right.
Plus, they changed the design art of it over time. On Mr. Popo, after time progressed, there's a slight change or modification based on.
And that's probably because they got, because think about it, because again, when Paul, when you brought it up, it did hit to what you were saying, because like in a sense, from what white people did it, right, when they do the blackface and everything else, and if you just look at just the face to the lips, I could easily understand like if you just take it that way, this is easily like you're trying to target, and I could see people take it that way. So in that same reflection, pretty much what David was saying, like slightly changing up the look or the texture. But I think also too, it still goes back to the idea of understanding the idea of the character itself, and then the design look of what he's portraying as far as what nation or where background he's displaying coming from.
Right.
So that's just that. But I think everyone has a good point on if the visual is sort of hitting a certain nerve, call it out, because you have to be very careful.
Right. And again, to me, it goes back to like the business aspect of it. Like, again, if you're only interested in selling or marketing your product within Japan, I mean, you're making, I don't know if they had an idea at one point, anime for Japanese people only, or whatever. But the idea is, if you're going to go outside of these walls, you got to be prepared for somebody, and that can happen for anyone. We can, like, what we may do in America And if we took that to Japan or whatever, some people may find it offensive, whether it be looking someone directly in the eyes. Like I think I've heard something in like some business class or something like that. Like you don't say certain, you don't look people directly in the eye, or you don't say yes or no in Japan. I mean, there's just cultural things that you're taught
Mhm.
that might be very normal for us. But if you import it out to a country like Japan, people will look at it differently. And I'm just saying that, that kind of sort of understanding needs to be done to say, okay, if you want to go live with this, or we're going to export, we're going to make a major push in Western markets with this character and whatnot, and it could be a great big hit in Japan. But if you take it out, then you're going to be opening yourself up to criticism. And again, I will give them the benefit of the doubt
Mhm.
that I don't think it's targeting per se.
Mhm.
But if people look at it, then what I will be checking for is what is your response going to be?
Mhm.
Because if your response is going to be, basically, well, this is what it is, deal with it. Now I might be like, bet. And I know a lot of people be like, okay, just like other boycotts or whatever that goes on, people tend to mobilize, especially in black social media and whatnot. People be like, all right, that's how you move. We explained it to you, and you basically said whatever, bet, and then it can go awry that way. But it's just the those sort of things, any market, anybody from any nation going to another, how I conduct myself in Japan or whatever versus how I do something else, how I go to another country. Those things matter in a global marketplace, and it would be good if you had people outside of your view to look at your stuff and to say, hey, you can do what you want, but I got a feeling this may not necessarily land well in this market, and you may want to reconsider doing that. Do you have that kind of oversight to say, representation matters, and some of these depictions or whatnot, I don't know if they would be as successful as you think they may be, even though they might be successful in your own market. So that to me,
Well,
that's a business
let me just make mention
conversation
of
that you have
this.
to have.
Lately, the Japanese anime community have been touching a lot of cultural aspects. They're touching culture in India, they're touching culture in Egypt, they're touching culture in South America, and then using some of their culture aspects in their anime production. So when they are doing these things, they try to their best to make sure they depict them as best as possible. When one is showing a perfect example of the Mexican slash Chinese background thing, you do know that people do crossbreed among them. You got Chinese mixing with Mexican. You got Chinese mixing with other people of South America region as well, especially in the Caribbean region as well. Now, it would be great to find someone to pick a Chinese like Trinidadian characteristic, how that would stand out in the anime, so to speak. Because
Mm.
the more you start looking at anime as a whole or how they're going about reaching the demographic. Perfect example. We talk about a show we did about say Seiya, but it only reached a particular origin of people who enjoy that type of anime based on who they relate to. You know what I'm saying? Bleach is a multicultural anime that not only deal with the Afro side of things, but it also deal with the Latino side of things as well. Because True Commando, the first thing came to my mind that it's a Spanish speaking name. Where would they get the idea from? They're touching deep level culture because when these characters are being created, the person I'm going to act is the person who's creating the character. What is his dynamic? What is the range? What are you looking at?
Talking to
What
the mic
time
again, Dave.
outside? Am I near the mic? What are you?
You're
What
now.
are you?
Yeah.
Okay, sometimes I move my head around. I don't know why. What are you trying to target based on the storyteller? When you're building a world, you're building a story. You're taking an idea from certain aspect of things. Now, I don't know how they do German history because many times they do German history, the design of the character, they draw feel like it's like a baseball bat. They draw the German character thick, thick jawline. I was like, okay, that's either a little over exaggerated or the time stay within the storyline speaking. They do that a lot. When they talk about the history of Europe, when they want to pick on certain characteristics, they're trying to stay within the character we can design or what they think it's supposed to look like. But whenever they do something with an Afrocentric or Afro line of things, you know there's a unique blend. When you talk about Afro Latino or someone from a different origin from Africa, Egypt, everybody understand Egypt. There is a ethnic issue concerning Egypt. Some part of Egypt are black. Some part of Egypt are not black. But the fact they had a character called Muhammad, that's the first thing to pick up right now. That's it's a black man.
Mm-hmm.
And his hair texture, the hairstyle look is completely different. You look at another anime, they did one Fire Force with a Nigerian name in it. And I was like, hey, well the storyline don't fall into that, but it fall into the modern look, but they had that particular character in the play of thing. So slowly but steady, some of these artists or writer, they catching on, they can try to add a different flair or a different taste or a different light to it. Whereby and they will put a particular character and make sure it fit the criteria or fit the description what they want to gain a fan base or more.
Right.
Some anime are multicultural to the point whereby you got to take your time and differentiate which culture are they reflecting to. But it's not just one culture anymore. You're dealing with multiple cultures. You deal with the Afrocentric, you deal with the European culture, you deal with the Asian culture, and you have a mix of the American culture, then you have the Indian culture, so to speak. So
Right.
when you're bouncing around trying to create character, but make sure it fall within their origin.
Right,
And
right.
when you try to
And
figure this
also,
out,
like I said, just how they are depicted, because I definitely see this, and I guess we can all be critical, right, of how a person in a live action setting. Like if you look at a lot of like now, like I said, my forte, like I said, is not manga or anime, but I am a big kaiju fan. So again, I grew up in the 60s and the 70s, Godzilla films and all of that. And what would always get me is again how the Americans were depicted or the non-Japanese characters were depicted. So the Americans, it almost sounded like they were trying to be like the Americans talk like this in the movie just to make sure that you were an American. Like that's how they talked in a lot of these films. To
and
say
they
that
try to bet
it's
to
like
get it
we
down pat.
Americans and we got to handle this Godzilla thing, and it's that kind of I'm exaggerating, but I'm just saying. But when you look at it, you kind of I'm sure just like if an American actor, and you see this a lot, an American actor trying to play with a British accent, right? Or like recently you had the Bob Marley movie came out, right? And you had the actor who played him who was an Afro-British actor, but he tried to talk with this Jamaican accent. And it doesn't matter. He had all these coaches and everything, but some people would just hate. Some Jamaicans were just hating. They say, no, that's not Bob Marley, or that's not Jamaican accent. That's so again, it's how the person sounds, it's how they carry themselves. If you come off as being, like you said, the Germans, right? In some of the things, if they come off as very stern and like this or whatever, is that an accurate depiction of a German person, or is that a sort of a character or caricature of a German person? Like,
Let
so
me give you a
this is
perfect
how
example.
Germans act or what have you.
I'm like, give me a perfect example. They had a Japanese animation based on basketball, right? And the two of them, one in particularly, they paint all the black guy as in jack, meaning you're not touching them, you're not coming to their height, they're overpowering. If they're gonna slam dunk you, just know you are not gonna. And I watched that with my son, and all the black character in that team are at least 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", towering individual. And when they get the ball and they're up in the air, it's a level of fear they put impact. So imagine they do that a Japanese animation based on basketball, and they have African American character in the play, whereby you cannot block the character when they're dunking. When they're in the air, they go polarize you or they'll destroy you. So imagine they had that picture about black people in basketball. They have a basketball anime kind of thing going on. That was one part. The other part is Baki. They did a imitation of Muhammad Ali, but they give it a little twist. They did an imitation of a well-known black bodybuilder, the anime, as the most dominant strength, right? And they did depiction of people in cultural art form of fighting. They had a heavy respect for Muhammad Ali character with India. There was a character close to being Mike Tyson in that anime. Ridiculous. But if you notice, they're trying their best to get it as close as possible, but play homage to it as well. So it lets you know they understand the history, they understand the culture, and they want to bring that aspect of it into their anime. So at least people gonna know, so okay, yeah, they're doing it in this way. Because imagine they say Muhammad Ali had his own martial arts form. It's not actually boxing, but it's martial art. And that will blow your mind if you're following the anime series out of Baki. But you can show that a level of respect to it or that particular culture.
Right.
To the point where they make it seem like Muhammad did have his hidden martial arts system, but just American didn't catch on to it.
Right.
So I found it very unique. As you see different genre, different anime, it's a history you got to look at. What part of history are they using for their anime? What part of the picture are you using their anime? How far are they going? But like I said, when I mentioned the drawing or how they do the eyes or they did the line, it's critical, heavily critical on the Japanese anime side of things because you can't draw everybody the same. You cannot. And when they start doing the fourth blending of culture, either the person is Afro Latino or it's mixed with the Afro and Asian, and you know there's a certain features they start to pick up because looking present time, there's a lot of Afro Asian community in Japan.
Oh yeah.
Mixing and they gain a good idea of what they may look like. And some are adding to their anime as well. So imagine these artists, these manga writers, getting a flood work of idea of how to draw people characteristic, their features. What would a Chinese mix with an African look like? How would it blend out? What feature would stand out more than the other? What feature you have that belong to the African? What feature will belong to the Asian? So it gave them a idea platform to, you know what, there will be our roadmap how we draw certain people.
I got you. Let me ask you and Wally, if he's still there. Let me ask you guys personally a question. How important to you personally is this idea of representation? Because I can think of two ways. Like I said, I grew up on kaiju monster films and whatnot, and again, the representation that I did see of Americans or whatever wasn't the greatest, but that wasn't necessarily the reason I was watching it. Right? I can watch any, say, whether it be an Asian background or a Russian background or a Latino background or whatever. It is what it is. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to represent me. I appreciate it when it does. And if you are going to do it, then do it right. But it doesn't mean because a film doesn't have black characters in it or the right black characters that I won't watch it. So I don't go to that extreme with things. But as a whole, as you guys watch, are you happy about the increase in representation? Would you want to see more? Could they do better? Or if they had no diversity, if go back to, like I said, the Japanese anime 50 years ago, like what I just showed at the beginning with the Gotcha Man cast, and there's no black people. I mean, even the characters on the side and whatnot, there's no black representation period in the series throughout. But it's still my favorite. And I will watch it regardless. I'm not going to turn off. So we don't have any black people in it, so I don't need to watch it. I'm not one of those folks. But if it stayed the way it was and it's just good, you like or all of them, apples, with anything that Eric showed me. So again, Akira or Monster Cities, Appleseed. These are. I'm just right. Well, you guys might even know what these are, but I'm just rolling up stuff that I remember him exposing me to, because Eric was the one who got me watching real anime, not just the what he would call the bastardization of these anime titles, Battle of the Planets, which, some people is like they cringe when they hear it now. I say shout out to Sandy Frank. Sandy Frank was the best thing that happened to that series. I'll still defend that to this day, because nobody would know what Battle of the Plans was if it wasn't for Sandy Frank. But that being said, that is it important to you guys to see representation of us just as brothers in this stuff? Or if it didn't, it'd be like it wouldn't make you not enjoy or appreciate the product any less, whether it's diversified or not.
Right.
Want to go for the Wale?
Well,
Go first.
I'm not gonna go first ultimately, but I'm gonna go second. But I just want to point this one thing out as far as from your other question beforehand that I wanted to mention. Because one thing also when it comes to the idea of anime, and then of course from what you said before, when it's viewed on one side on their end to what is viewed on our side, because ultimately all in all, anime had to change a lot because of coming over to America. Why? Because of course a lot of the anime content, if you read it even from the manga side, and even if you heard it, the original side of the anime, honestly, it's not even meant for the networks that it's in.
Mm-hmm.
You would probably have to watch it through HBO, Star, something like that.
Yeah, because a lot of it's
But the thing is, and I think because they understood that in a sense of business, they had to sort of quote unquote damper it down to wayside it just to enter into a more easier way to get it to be viewable. Whereas it could have been more grueling, more dark than it ever was on the original side, which is seen over in Japan. So overall, yeah, it's very much different as far as understanding protocols. But I think that's the thing. Anything they bring over here, that's a protocol switch of what it has to look or sound like over here from what they were allowed in America versus what they do on their end, what they allowed on their terms. So that's what I'll say. But I'm going to sit here and say this. I will add to your comment while I bring up a clip, but that I'll let David speak on his end and then I'll speak on mine.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
All right.
Now, my thing is it's more of a yes and no altogether. Because just like Eric, I was one of those individuals who was digging deep about Japanese anime to see how many genre.
I can't speak into mic. You're kind of
Here it again. You hear my crazy voice. Can y'all hear me, ladies and gentlemen?
yes, just like that's
Okay,
perfect.
I need to keep my head on. I need to change my mic setting next time. They tell me close down here.
Yeah, turn it
Every
up.
time I'm in my zone.
When you get
I'm
deep, I
looking
know
down.
you get deep. You get so
I know,
when
so I
you
need to
get here,
start
nobody's
changing.
gonna hear you.
So let me put it like this: the way anime has grown over the years it's amazing because one, it is exposure to a lot of great creators, a lot of great writers who have a deeper view of what they want to create. I'm mad that some of them are not able to live long enough to create more great platforms to show us their thought part of how they look at anime as a whole. Because when we did that history about the big three, it now let me know I had to appreciate the people who took the time out and start taking note of what they want to put in the anime. Now, am I happy with the depiction we had of in present time? Yes. Yeah, I want them to do more. That's not what I'm looking for right now because I would like to see if they can pull one off, create an anime that's based in African history or how it will be depicted.
Mhm.
Because since they have an understanding of cultural history and history of itself, I wonder if they can do one whereby you're dealing with ancient history. Because the anime I was watching the based on ancient history called Kingdom, and they talk about the warring time. And I wonder if they can do that for every different region of the world. If you go do anime based on history that being documented of the
Right.
time they came to existence, I would like to see the depiction. How would they get into the detail there?
But I guess the question I would have is, would they have to do it, or could it be something like what I said earlier with the Boondocks? You have creative control
Mm-hmm.
over what goes into it. The storyline that
Mm-hmm.
belongs to the whether it be an African American or an African person, a Nigerian American,
Mhm.
somebody who's interested in that, wanting to tell an honest depiction. But what if you just turn that over to a Japanese animation house and
We do
let
have
them do, so you would get the best of both worlds. You would get the fidelity to the storytelling that you want, but then you
Mhm.
would also have people who know the craft, because they did the same thing. I mean, Transformers the movie, right? That was done
Mhm.
by Japanese animators, even though it
Mhm.
was an American production, you know. So wouldn't that be the best match? Like I said, and I wouldn't hold personally Japan or Japanese anime studios responsible to tell that history or to be faithful to it. I'm not asking them to do that. But I am saying, but if for the art form, you could certainly staff with that, or like you said, the African Americans who are there now who are creating their own studio in Japan, if they want to take that on. So I
yeah,
so I say
the
so I
reason
think
why
there's
I
a
asked that
creative side, there's a storytelling side, but then the animation side, I think you have a lot of options there in terms of how you want to have that story depicted.
the reason I asked that question because for one, Wally and I have noticed one thing when it comes to Japan animation, the heckler to detail. Details matters in Japan animation.
Mhm.
It got to a point whereby if you're not paying attention, you miss it. And that's what I'm aware of because if Eric will do it to us when we start comparing different writers, different art or authors on what their style may look like, then it will be a battle who the best writer, who the best author. And if you start pushing out names, these men are heckler to details. And to do an anime based on African history of what the warring time will look like, I felt like we totally unfair because when they did the anime on Chinese history, you can imagine how much detail they had to stay close to it. So I was like, that would be too much of an unfair task to put on somebody because for one, how many years would it take them to put that together? That's the first thing came to my mind. How much voice actors, and trust me, when I say voice actor, there will be a long list of African Americans from the
Yeah.
UK, from the US, want to jump on that product real bad and lend their voice. Because we have a production studio that's doing that called Black Sand. Black Sand is doing a African anime. And for what I'm hearing, there's more than good 30 big names have joined on that project. When it will come out, we don't know yet. They're working on a lot of facts, and I know the guy
I've seen some
from
clips they show that there's coming. Hold on, let me go look. I've
because
seen they said they're coming out.
Black Sand has raised a lot of money to produce their own. And I was thinking the guy from Philadelphia, from New Jersey, who have a studio in Japan, they want to jump on board for that type
Mm.
production because he jumped on a lot of big name anime that's now on Netflix.
Right.
So my thing is, a project of that magnitude is going to be big. It's going to take time. That I know. And what we both know about Japanese animators, when I say they're heckler to detail, detail is critical. You can't just put just any anime without paying attention to the small, minute detail that make the anime great as a whole.
Right.
So me and Wally, when we on our phone, we going back and forth. Best believe we start pointing out a lot of detail that a lot of people don't pay attention to. But sometimes we go too far to the point where, but we're hoping if we can get the anime studio can give us a call and we ask one of their anime, we ask them questions upon the hot seat. Why was this fact here? Why? And maybe can pick his brain. Because anime production in Japan is not so simple, straightforward. It never has been. It make you want to sit back and appreciate that they take the time to put into work to the point of their own detriment to their own health. That is a commonality, right? Well, I would tell you, every time we follow a certain anime, it's a track record. These people are killing themselves
Burnout. Yeah.
for their work. You don't hear that in the US. Who do you know are killing themselves for their work to the point whereby their health deteriorate over time? You barely hear that. But when it comes to Japanese animation, Japanese manga, they take it too serious. It's an artwork. It's about perfection to their own eye. to the point where, but if you never smoke, you start smoking. So you see what I'm saying about they take it a little bit too serious than we would do. So I don't want to put the unfair task of saying, you know what? Let's see, they can produce that African anime based on past history, but that'll be they're gonna be looking for a history book and start pulling things left and right and trying to figure out how to go put their artwork into production. And believe me when I say it, some anime take them over 3 years to do it.
Right.
Because they want to make sure it comes out perfect. Now the technology have changed a whole lot over the years. There's the cheap way of doing it, there's the average way of doing it, and there's the high-end way of doing it.
Right.
If you're not careful,
that would be a question I had. We maybe could address later how technology has affected anime in its creation. So, but that's another question for another time.
So that's how I looked at it.
But I want to take.
I would love to do it African, but I want to put that stress on them, knowing that some of them, most of them, taking it too serious, to the detriment on their own health, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, you're asking a lot of people.
Wally?
All right, well, you want to take it?
All right, so show what I have shared right now.
Okay, give me a second.
We'll read Davis before I play this. Okay, yeah, read X before I play this. All right, so what you have here today? Yeah. Well, it was going to be during this video. So look, there was a young lady that likes to do cosplays of anime characters, and she recently took her own life because of negative comments, because she's replicating characters that not of the same skin tags. Let's hear this out, and then you'll hear my stance on how I feel about anime in representation.
Cosplayer is no longer with us, and it's because of racism. Ashley, who went by the username SquidKid1111, she was a cosplayer that cosplayed anime characters. Some of her cosplays include Nami from One Piece, Ochako from My Hero Academia, Rize from Chainsaw Man, Mao Mao from The Apothecary Diaries, as well as video game characters. Her cosplays are amazing. If we scroll through her page, you guys cannot tell me these aren't good cosplays. But wait, some people will say they aren't good because she's black. Unfortunately, racism is still very much a thing in today's world. Ashley's family made a post announcing the passing of Ashley. They revealed in a recent story post that she received many disgusting racist comments. I'm not going to put the comments on screen, but just know they are disgusting. All these comments built up dark thoughts within Ashley, and she decided to exit the world by her own hands. Something like this should never happen in the anime, gaming, cosplaying community. Fans should be able to cosplay any character that they like, and they shouldn't have to worry about receiving racist comments. We need more people to take a stand and bring awareness to the situation. I'm calling upon Crunchyroll to make a post, statement, article talking about this. You guys are the biggest anime platform in the world, and this needs to be talked about because it's not okay. Something needs to change. There needs to be a change. Ashley loved anime. Make a post, statement, article talking about this. We don't need something like this ever happening again in the community. No more racist comments. We have creators like Tony Weaver Jr., Trevon the Titan, Seiji Cosplay. They all made great videos bringing awareness to the situation. Crunchyroll, you guys need to do the same. You guys have that influence. Bring awareness to the situation so something like this never happens again. Ashley, may you rest in peace. Your cosplays will be admired by many people around the world. Don't worry. An anime cosplay.
All right, so that's
Wow.
one.
Wow.
I'm gonna bring in another one because this brother's take is also gonna be the point of my take of where I'm gonna take it from my standpoint.
Okay.
I have a really controversial take that I've been sitting on for a really long time. And in light of the fact that a black cosplayer just ended their life due to the racist harassment that they've been dealing with, I don't really care anymore. I'm gonna just say it. Every black writer or artist creating a story should have a black main character. No, I'm not arguing about this. No, I'm not going back and forth with anybody about this. That is the take. And I don't care how you feel about it. In a medium and a community that we are so ridiculously underrepresented, and even when we are represented, people try and fight tooth and nail to argue that a character like Yorichi, who's obviously black, is not actually black. In a medium where you can't even dress up, as a cartoon character without dealing with copious amounts of hatred and racism. In a medium where we're depicted in the most racially caricaturized way all the time, in a medium where any attempt to depict us is instantly review bombed to oblivion before it even comes out. If people like you, in a medium where you're already so ridiculously underrepresented, can't even cosplay your character, if you can't even cosplay your own character without people saying that character isn't black, something is very wrong. Do not let me know how you feel about this, because this is not open for discussion. I have a really
Right. So,
Whew.
let me drop that real quick. All right, look. So, to that whole commentation of what the brother said, right? He says, if you are a black content creator of any sorts that are into writing books or anything else of that nature, I'm going to sit here and tell you this point. He said, every character you have, every character you design needs to be a black character. Here's the sad point, though. That ain't saving nobody. That ain't going to save you. What the fuck that going to do for you? Everyone in this world wants someone to relate to. Someone wants to be visually sent. Someone wants to be everything. I'm sorry to say this, but for me, do I need representation in anime? No. I ain't chasing it. I ain't trying to find it. I ain't. And why? Because at the end of the damn day, these characters are just that. I guarantee you today, if someone told me, if you are a black person that is into anime, what anime character relates to you? Almost any of them. You can literally choose any of them. Because of the story, the background, everything. It don't care what skin text you freaking have. But when you listen to their story, you see that upbringing, you see everything, you know that relates to you, no matter what the skin text, no matter what origins you come from, you relate to it. That is the biggest impact of anime. Being able to look at somebody and say, you know what, I can literally connect to this because that's what's been done to us in the same context. Even though we're in different visuals, but that's been the same thing that's been done to us. Whatever. And I know you're going to sit here and say it's more impactful if it's more you itself, but overall, I just don't need it. Because again, even when you get it, are you going to even be seen at a high rate? Because let's talk about it from a comic book standpoint. Name me a black comic character. That's been nice. That looks great. That looks awesome. And yet you get them. They put him on TV finally. And he's not ultimately what he was supposed to be. One perfect depiction. Black Panther. He was close to everything he was, but you didn't give him everything. Why not? Sell it how you want it. We will never get Blue Marvel from Marvels. Why not? Sell it how you want it. We get Static Shock. Good old kid in a neighborhood, in a rough neighborhood, but growing up, everything else, cool. You get the comics, you see the comics, everything else. He was in the Black Man Beyond, but you will never get him in prime time. Knowing he's a teenager, he reflects back to the youth. But why not? Why we won't push that TV series? You tell me. You will get representation and you will get it only to love it, and then it will never be there anyways. A lot of people can say IPs, a lot of people can say all these other things and all these other notions. Sell it to me however you want to. But my thing is this. If you can repeat Batman, you can repeat Superman, you can repeat all your important top characters, and they are your important top characters, I'll give it to them. You can repeat it all the time. You put so much dedication into repeating those characters, but you can't put dedication to people that you end up making or you end up buying from somebody else. Make it make sense. There is no value in actually having representation because at the end of the day, no one's going to push it. No one's going to push it. No one's really going to push you the way you're going to push you. No one is. And the reality of that matter, you're not going to ever get it. That's why I sit here and say this. I'm not pushing for DC to motherfucking make more black characters important. I'm not gonna freaking go to Marvel and say push more black characters to make me feel important, because I already know what its time it is. You got Superman, and most people say based upon Superman's powers. Hold up, wait a minute now. Well, huh? His powers, what he gets his power from the sun, huh? But in real life, make it make sense to me, because we all know if one of us were to live and be in the sun rays, who can stand it and who has to walk away? Again, pick your shoot, pick your standpoint. It is what it is. But for me, I don't need character depiction. I just don't, because I'm better off understanding one thing only. I am someone that is able to relate to people. I don't make it a coloration thing or, you know, an identity face-to-face thing. I'm about connecting, because again, that's the main thing. Because if anything, we ask anybody in this world, if there's something you sit here for, right? We always trying to fight the idea of being picked on from the sense of race, or the race wars, or the classism wars, how people are looked and perceived because of where they come from or the ilk of their skin. This is a big problem that we have. And I get it. It's like, it seems so unfair. Why are we not being given a place to be in the world, as if we can't do no good? Why are we not in a position to do these things? Why are we not in a position to be a hero in one of these animes one way or another? Why are we not in that image? Why does it take someone that has the money or has the equivalence to do something like that, or connect with someone, and then they do it for us? But that's the thing. Certain people do it if they want to. And that's the thing. That's depending on the people. I can't push you to do something because that's not you. Say it again, Jay. Well, Jay, when you get the audio.
He's muted, so I don't know if you.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you were saying something, you were muted.
I'm okay. I'm not saying anything because you're saying a lot.
Well, yeah. But I just want to make sure, Jay, can you stop? Let me know. So make sure your audio right.
Jay, can you hear us? Can you hear us?
It's on your end, I think. It's on your end. I don't know what it is. Yeah, I think so he can't hear us.
Yeah, he muted himself.
All right. Jay, figure that out, man. Figure that out. But that's just my thing, right? And again, I personally, again, from a standpoint of that young lady, that cosplay characters that she loved to emulate and everything else, that had nothing to do with nothing more of just simply wearing a costume of somebody that is in a TV series. But you now want to come and tag somebody just because they don't fit the image of said character. Miss me with it. Miss me. Because guess what? If I wanted to freaking wear Piccolo, you're going to come for me too for just because of that? Piccolo's green. What the frick you could tell me? Nothing.
Well, they're going to start a new problem. And I'm saying that right now. There's a bunch of black animation groups all across the world, some on Facebook, some stand alone by themselves, whereby they do their own conventions as well. And when they hear this going on right now, it will start something that it's not going to look good. Because for one, there should be no racism in Japanese animation. What it shouldn't be. It should never be a place for that. And the fact that this is a multi-billion-dollar industry that entering a multi-trillion-dollar industry. Doing this right now, the question is who is doing it? Is it part of a troll industry going on that people like to troll? Because that's what I say. I have no respect for trolls.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's definitely a lot of it around the way, and let's be honest. There's even some people that are into anime that reacted to her hot takes as far as what she deems a 1 to a 10. It's like, again, did I agree with the takes ultimately respectively? No, but that's because, again, that is her take. But again, I'm not gonna sit here and denounce her because her taste. Her taste and my taste are gonna be two different tastes. It is what it is.
And there's a growing number of black cosplayers after since coming from the late 90s to now, there have been a growth up and coming black cosplayer have been coming out doing their own thing about these things. But even that one got to take their life because of racism, it will start a movement that will be totally uncalled for. But,
And you know what?
But what would be the movement? Because from what I'm hearing, right now, again, in my time, you know, in my younger days, if I'm 20, you know, college days or whatever, again, there were already would have been a some sort of collective action. There would have been, like I said, like the guy called for the main, I guess, anime studio in Japan and a lot of these anime content creators to make a statement
and push it out and get it
and push it out, and they didn't.
and
For a lot of us, that would be the exit. Like a lot of us would say, why do you? I know you enjoy it. I know it's fun, and I know all those things, but you're basically participating in an activity that people are telling you to your face that they don't want you there. And for some people, it's just like anything else. You got people who are pro, we need to integrate in everything. And then you got the people who are like, we need to have our own, go back to like Black Wall Street and whatnot and have our own segregated communities, and we do our own thing or whatever, and we just be ourselves with ourselves, you know, for us, by us, and that's it.
And this way will be wrong.
You're gonna have both schools there in regards to that, but basically a large chunk of anime community that you dedicated time and resources and your passions to.
And this is why I'm speaking upon it right now. Because what you just said right there is totally correct. But on the flip side of things, here where the problem comes to play. We have too many prominent black people in the Japanese animation community as we speak. The one they were referring to is Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll have a long-standing reputation of stepping on the wrong toe for a lot of reasons. There's the other creator out there who can speak upon. When I've mentioned it before, a lot of people don't know this. We have a black-owned Japanese animation studio located in Japan, run by a black brother who is from the United States of America. A lot of people don't know that. And he got his hand on a bunch of well-known, up-to-date anime. We got a lot of big names, black names in the anime community who are doing a lot of collaboration. Now, can they speak on this thing? Yes. But from one standpoint, I don't know. Because they're not tied to a anime production studio. That's where the problem comes to play. When he targeting Crunchyroll is the only one who's airing a lot of anime in the US now. So that's a lot of heat on their head. And other organizations we can speak on, like they can step up to the plate.
But basically, what you're saying, like anything else, is
pause.
Go ahead.
The thing is this, right? I know the brother mentioned earlier about, you know, hey, organization come in, take a step in, make this right. But it's the thing. What are the organization going to honestly say? Because I'm going to be honest with you. This is how I look at it. The organization is going to come in and be like, hey, guys, look, there should be no place for racism. We made these characters for your enjoyment, and we thank you all for coming in and loving the animes that you enjoy to watch that we created, and we appreciate your taking your likeness into your own self while you looking at it through your own lenses and copying said character. They're gonna do the typical standard, but they didn't. I know, I understand they didn't, but what I'm saying is, even if they did, what more is that gonna really do? Nothing. Because you can't control the trollers that made the comments. And even if you attack the controllers and say, hey, nerf them, delete their comment, get them out of there. All I'm saying is this. At the end of the day, it shouldn't ever come to that point where people make that statement. The problem is, what far more do we do? Because even if then these people are making comments on the internet, are they showing their face? Do we know who they are? Do we know what they look like? Can we come for them? And how far do we go? How far do we go with these people that are making these targets? Because unless you're telling me we're going to search these people, hunt them down, and lock them in prison, then there's nothing more you really can ask for. I'm being honest.
I got you. Now, what you just said, you can apply to all kinds of things in life, right? We can ask the question, what good does an apology do? But does that mean you do not offer the apology? You can take that into politics. You can take that into any segment. I remember a few years ago, the NRA refused to speak up when Philando Castile, who was an NRA card-carrying member, and these guys are always hyping up. It's your First Amendment, Second Amendment right to have a firearm and all that. And they were all, on arms. The brother was clearly taken out. I mean, everything about that was wrong. Silence from the NRA. And again, people were asking the same question. Why do so many brothers belong to the NRA? There are black gun groups that do advocacy. And there was a call then, why don't you pull out of the NRA, join the black ones, or certainly the ones that will step up in that situation? I'm saying there's action for everyone to do. And certainly for in this particular situation with this young woman who was viciously attacked that way and took a life. I think certainly even if you say the studio, which I still think, somebody should have said something. But even then, from the people who belong to these communities and dedicate your resources and time and love to this, what's wrong with people coming together and saying, hey, we're taking, because again, I mean, and I don't know what the demographics are in terms of anime love, but I know a lot of black people who love anime.
Right.
And if we stepped up and said, well, I'm saying the brother said, so I'm saying we, but I'm saying if folks stepped up and said, we take a stand on this and we will, again, boycott or whatever, which has been effective. See, people say they don't like cancel culture. I love cancel culture. I think cancel culture gets things done.
Yeah.
I think the Montgomery bus boycott was cancel culture. Right. Oh, you don't want to treat our sister right on the bus? We won't take your bus.
Right.
Until that got knocked down. So is there going to be collective action for those who represent a large segment of that community to at least make some noise, to force them to a statement or to force them to address the issue, but let people know it's like, no, you will not attack. At the very least, to let people know who support that, at least to let them know that they're supported. Because I don't know how many people were coming to that sister's defense. But if there was a large black contingent saying, oh, no, you're not going after our sister like that, or let that sister know, look, we support you. Keep doing your thing, girl. Let her know that she's supported.
No, she was heavily supported. A lot of people know in the community. But I'll say, right, Paul, just to change a little bit of this, because I'll say this, right? The best thing for me, if I wanted anything of any response from Crunchyroll or anybody else that's big into anime, as far as a company that is into the overall scenery, right? How far would I want them to at least do anything? At least in the case of the family, if they could do anything, any condolences, any other things that they can take care of, however it may be, or even in reflection, pay tribute to this woman in any which way, shape, and form. That would be the best thing I can get from. Because again, for me, getting these little weirdos and douchebags, and you ain't gonna catch them all.
True that.
And damn sure ain't gonna lock them up.
True that.
And that's the damn thing that's pissing me off right now.
And here's the thing.
You just rattled off those 2 or 3 ideas. What if they came through and offered to, again, pay funeral?
I believe that could be possible because
some kind of offering like that. I mean, that would have been a very thoughtful, even though they're not connected to it. But again, just to let people know, we stand with her.
Like
there's symbolism there. I think again, sometimes symbolism does matter. And in that situation, I think that would have been a powerful statement certainly by them, or certainly by the leading influencers that they matter. That all to their point, they're putting action behind their statement.
I would say that right now we're in November entering December. By next year, there should be a bunch of anime conventions will be planned out throughout the United States. The biggest one I know is called Anime Con. When they go have their own here in New York City, I don't know. But any other location, I think that'll be the stop when we try to create a movement where all the big name black cosplaying icons that shouldn't be any type of event where we start making a movement where saying going forward, we're not going to tolerate racism because this is meant for everybody. Because I was telling Wally, they There are conventions being held across the country. New York City, you only know about Comic Con and Anime Con. There's one they hold in Florida. There's one they hold in Los Angeles. There's one they hold in Las Vegas, Nevada. There's one they hold in Georgia. It all depends on the promoter. If they want to make it as a movie going forward that they catch anybody on the site doing that, we should get their name, get their associate, and find out who they are part of, and start blacklisting them going forward. That could help, but we can only do so much. Because, like I said before, there's a lot of up and coming from the 90 to now. I can mention one that unique. I forgot how to pronounce her name properly. She's the cosplayer, but she's mixed race. There's a lot of them out there who have been doing cosplaying for a while now. They have made a name for themselves to the point where they're sending tutorial on how to create their own cosplay from ground up, depending on what kind of cosplay you plan to build upon. Now, that one, Wally the one that brought that news to me about a couple of weeks ago, and I find it very, very strange why that happened. But I also knew to deal with that factor, it would take a lot of us to make it clear going forward. Like if anytime we do our content, like this content right here, for example, that we are speaking upon it, if someone caught on or be speaking about this one and they carry on to the next thing you know, if you know you have connection to any promoter of any future event, have it whereby you going forward, you will put it down. You will start putting a movement whereby we're not going to allow this suspect stuff within the anime community, which should never be.
Right.
But the thing is, and this is like sort of like the heart wrenching part within communities overall, right?
Yeah.
To a point where, like you said, Paul, right? There's one group, but then now we have to make a Black edition group just because of how certain situations were done and everything else. And this is the thing that really, really grinds my gears. Is like every sometimes, like when we talk about human rights, it's just human rights, right? You're not putting a very indicator on quote unquote skin text. But now when you hear that, in certain places where some people will say, oh, well, Blacks are like 3/5 of a human, or however they want to consider however they worded that statement. But that is very, very distasteful. And it's like, again, it's like saying, well, who really has rights? Because apparently you're trying to isolate who has it and who don't. And that, in a sense, is saying to yourself, like, we always got to have something of our own. We always got to have something of our own. It's like there is no respect across the board. And if that's going to be the case, my thing is when seeing anime and seeing that, yeah, anime has grown to the point that it's starting to show different characters and start showing different initially. Basically, what I'm saying is starting to show people from different regions, nationalities, and everything else, and different culture values and different culture sceneries. But to that point, it's like, if you're going to do that, are you, pretty much like you asked before, are you opening the door for more love and more appreciation, more people to come in and more people get involved? And if so, are these communities that would be started by people that make these communities that are all authenticated into anime, is it even then loved and appreciated to a fact where people can just say we come in and we appreciate anime just for the love of anime and not be questioning what people wear or how they cosplay because they don't fit the skin text of a certain character? Because at this point, if there has to be a community side of the fence where, just like you said, there's just the whole NRA community, and then there has to be a split where there's a Black NRA community, that just tells me the community as a whole is not protected across board. Because again, now you're telling me there's an identity of only recognizing these people and not really paying too much about you. And that right there is just a cutoff. And I would agree to that point. If it becomes a growing precursor, then yeah, honestly, it's going to sour my mouth to even care to watch anime. Because
it's always been said, Wally, everything is political, right? Everything is political. And you see that it sucks that it has to be, people can't just love something for the love of doing it. People go there. Now, as far as the points I was making in terms of, again, that thought, again, a lot of that came out of simply survival. Again, we had to create our own spaces, Black Wall Street and all these other places, because they wouldn't let us into certain areas. I belong to an AME church, African American Episcopal Church. Why that church was founded was because the Methodists wouldn't let the Black people worship at the altar, which is central to Methodist worship. You guys got to be upstairs. People were like, we don't want to be upstairs. So they found their own church in a blacksmith shop, which is why the blacksmith logo is the logo of the church, and it's the largest Black church in the United States. Not our deal. We wanted to be just like everybody else. And people were like, no, you're not like us. So we said, bet. Now, some people decide to stay and just gut it out. And maybe if we love them enough, that maybe we'll be accepted. And some people were like, no, we got to create our own spaces. Not that we wanted to, but that's the way it is. So again, I would hate for that in this community. But again, we've seen this across. Remember, The Little Mermaid came out a couple years ago. And that system's getting blasted for being a fictional character that does not exist. Mermaids do not exist. And if you wanted to be anatomical about it, I don't know if you could have a Caucasian mermaid just based on biology or anything else. So that was a big stir. That over a fictional character, you can't be something, and all the slack that she got for that. So again, but my thing is this: we're not causing it. We're just saying we want to be a part of this. We want to be part of the storytelling. We want to be part of what you guys are putting together. If people say no, then what are you going to do? Some people say, let's create our own. Some people say, stick in there and maybe things will change in the future. Like you're saying now you have more representation in anime and whatnot. And maybe 50 years from now, maybe we'll all be better off and this thing will be a thing of the past. That's the hope that some people have. So again, it's in every segment and sector of society. In sports, well, before we broke the sports line, but again, you still got in sports now, ownership is the thing now. We already earned the right to play. We know we can play in any sport that we get into. You let Black people in, we take over. But what about the ownership spaces? What about the general manager spaces? That's still a fight that people are still saying, there's some glass ceilings there. There's some things that we can't get into. Everything is political. And in this space here, anime is not going to be, especially as it continues to grow as a global product that is attracting people from all over. And if you go to Comic-Con, like I had the pleasure to do, and meet with David and those guys, I mean, you see it. It's everybody it's a community of itself. It's like if you never knew such a thing existed, you'd be blown away by the diversity, by the joy that's there. But again, there are some things that may need to be addressed. And if people are like, well, we don't want to address this because it may affect that beautiful panacea that we saw, then again, those are the brave conversations that people need to have. We need some bravery in all aspects of life, in all segments of society, including even in these spaces here, at least from my perspective. But again, I go back to those, again, Pan-African, pro-Black, for us, by us, all the rhetoric, all of the, back to, I wasn't a Garveyist like that, but again, back, all of those things that, that I grew up with were things that, again, I just know how brothers would have treated something like that. And a lot of us, even back then, we were into, like I said, the anime that we did get, Battle of Planets, Speed Racer, Gigantor, and all those, Star Blazers. We were all fans of that stuff. But if we found out some of that stuff was going on, we'd be like, what are we going to do here?
Right.
So again, I appreciate your, just wanting to, can we just love this thing? It's great. It's wonderful. We can find, but there's underbellies that, people have to make, decisions on how they want to approach it. So, but again, I really want to thank you guys, because I know we've been going over 2 hours.
No.
Oh, yeah.
But I just want to thank you guys for really, again, I kind of pitched this idea. in a meeting or whatever. You guys took it on or whatnot, and this has been certainly a terrific conversation. I just want to thank you guys personally for making
Oh, yeah,
space
for
for
sure.
me to come up and be
No,
a part of this.
first and foremost,
I
Mr.
really
Bennett, you
appreciate
are our elder. That's number one. Number two, your idea was standard because we talked about it on Lent,
Yeah,
and
because
we realized
you did the article,
we didn't think it
but
would
we
be
made it to what it is, which
Yeah.
gives the show what it is now.
Yeah.
because you have people like Jedi Mike who's out there bigger than us, who've been in the multiple field and seeing what's going on. You got Jake Kakachi who understand the anime community as it is because that particular topic we spoke on length for the past couple of weeks when I first heard about it, and I was saying, why would someone do such a thing? Because among the black community, there has been a growing growth of black cosplayers. It has been building over time, which is not a small thing. But to hear one take their life because of racism, then this put a spin to it right now. I'll be honest, Jedi have been all over across America. He may hear about it as much as we do, or might hear much deeper than what we do. We don't know. Jay Kakashi is on a different wavelength whereby he trying to cross across the water in that aspect. But there are two individuals I can say they can speak on these two as well. Because I'm not gonna lie, it's not that simple. Okay.
Can you guys hear me?
So
Yeah, we can hear you.
we can hear you.
Real quick, I just want to say this before I let you guys go. Because here's the one thing I'll also say too when it comes to the idea of creation of either anime, comics, whatever it is. You know, what's the sad part about it all? For me, if I ever had it in my mind to go out there and say make a creation of manga or comic books, I wouldn't be so freaking finite within the idea of the world. It's not black only. It's not white only. It's not Latino only. It's all of us. I'm not gonna gatekeep a visual sense of the world. If I can honestly depict it, or at least put time to go research and deal with the people up there and trying to get that going, or bring people in, and then have a plot somewhere in the world to be able to get those types of people around the thing and get these types of characters visualized, by all means. Because at the end of the damn day, everyone should be imaged and idolized, in my opinion. That's how I would do it. In my control. But with that said, Jay or Jedi, go ahead.
Oh, Jedi was here before me. I dropped out. But first of all, I want to say something real quick before I let Jedi go. First of all, Jedi Mike, it's good to see you again, brother. We've been following you on IG, man. I am proud of all the things you've accomplished, my man. I post whenever I can to give you the likes whenever I can. I even share your freaking reels with my buddies, my anime brothers out there.
Thank
Other
you.
black brothers out there who see the work that you're putting in. So I just want to let you know, man, we got your love and support over here, bro.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
We're proud of you, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Oh, are you going or?
Oh no, I wanted you to go.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted to say that real quick.
Okay. Oh no, I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Good to see all y'all again. And everything. And Black Man, you've been doing a good job hosting this. I've been listening to this on the side. I've been working, on the as I'm listening to this and stuff. And then Mr. Bennett, Wally, good to see you and everything.
Likewise.
And yeah, no, I'm tapped into this, space as you can tell, but I'm actually friends with like co-owners of BlurCon at DC, also, and movements such as Blurred and Powerful. There's also been other, few other people that have ran initiatives, Blurred Station as well, just creating more IP center without people in the Black community and representation for that. And also like certain popular Black cosplayers you might know, Hellspawn, other people, etc. Yeah, that's Demetrius. Like, he's my buddy. But and when the young lady, unfortunately, when she took her life and everything, it just sparked a bigger conversation that we've been meaning to have in the space about this kind of shift of this ethnic cleansing that's been kind of going around, or this narrative that's been happening subconsciously, throughout this past few years, especially whether the administration with the rise of conservatism and everything like that kind of heightened everything up. I made a video about, I think was it last year, about race swapping, because I'm one of the people where I do believe in terms of having, you know, original Black characters and being represented. And then when it comes to race swapping, I was more coming across of the industry perspective of why they race swap. Why make Mary Jane Black? Why will you do that? Why will you make this certain character Black? Right. And because for me, I know there's a myriad of Black characters in anime, in comics, whatever, don't get no time in the sun, and think, okay, well, let me use a character that's probably intended for a white person and make them Black for sake of mass appeal or whatever, or do something original. I believe in ownership and having stake, and I feel that you have a Black character that's for us, and then us having the opportunity to represent that, you know, on the screens, whatever, live action, whatever, then that'd be great, because that's ownership. If I look at, wow, look at all the Black characters and all of them been race swap, I'm like, there is no Black characters. You know, I can look at Iris West. No, that's a Black woman playing a white woman character in comics, you know, because she hasn't been Black in the comics ever. And what I'm a proponent of is having lasting representation. That if you're going to go and change the character race, whatever, then you should make sure that you change it in manga, change it in animation, everything, and say like, okay, now when I think of this character, I think he's Black. I see him as Black. That's why with Wally West, when they made him Black, whatever, he's Black in the comics. New Teen Titans, yet, and they made two separate characters, whatever. I understand that, but lasting representation. We're talking about in the state of cosplaying when it comes to the young lady, that this representation of fandom is celebrating the community, the culture about these characters and what they mean to us, right? And that transcends to a lot of different people in different communities. Is that whether, you know, if I'm loving, you know, Naruto, quote unquote, white character, Asian character, I'm like, there's never gonna be a Black Naruto. But all of us doing the Naruto run in elementary school. If you haven't done it, you lying. You know, are we imposter? You know, trying to sake of a character, or are we just celebrating that fandom that kind of bring us together, something we love, right? And not only that, when it comes to gatekeeping as well, when we having spaces to show representation, there's also a level of responsibility we need to have, i.e., making sure you're checking the comment section, making sure you're not having people coming there and trying to not only because of their comments, but just being complacent, allowing, well, we're in the world of free speech, whatever, and they can say whatever they want. But by doing that, you're also leaving the floodgates of people to just come in and just go and target, which is surface level hiding their racism. With the young lady, it was a photographer who've had her pictures and everything, and it was on his page that everybody was going at this young lady, and he was the one taking the pictures. It was on his page. He didn't delete the comments. To me, I feel he has a level of responsibility for that. When it comes with, you know, any type of criticism or pushback or something like that, having criticism is one thing, but to kind of take it too far of you making this about the person, making this personal, that's where you cross the line. And then we've been seeing an overwhelming lack of I would say standards we hold ourselves of having these spaces as Black people, BlurCon, everything, and not checking people properly. You know, we're just being like, okay, well, we just go along, get along. Like, no. There needs to be a cultural shift of us, quote unquote, standing on business and knowing that, hey, when you come into space, this is how you're not supposed to be. There's if the whole conversation about with women in cosplay, you know, about that whole conversation about, hey, you know, about consent and how they're dressing and everything like that, we have those types of conversations. Then the same thing comes when we have people, Black cosplayers, you know, representing characters, and then we have a lot of racism coming through and not being checked at all. You know, that's an issue, and I'm talking about from a administrative level, like people that are owning these conventions, owning the PR and everything like that. If you're saying that you're not just using the sake of representation as a slogan, you know, that should not just, you know, and then saying that this is a safe space, this is a slogan for some people, you know, even when they're running these shows and mangas and everything like that, again, they're just like, we know how this community what we have experienced as a fandom for years, for decades. You know, we thought that us liking anime or some comic book was some white boy stuff. That's been a joke back in the day, and it's like, no, it's not. It's for all of us. But we've been in unrepresentative community, and now we're subtly growing. Anime is growing, the highest it's ever been. Right, it ain't going nowhere. You know, but because we're reaching this new plateau of social awareness to the mass market, there gotta come a line where we have to understand, like, hey, listen, when people are going to be coming and looking at diverse characters, and it's, oh, here comes the wokeness, oh, here comes the DEI, oh, here comes all that stuff, all the isms. We have to make sure we have a standard of how we're protecting this space from a foundation level. Was always been about community, you know. So I think some of the guys, the points that you were bringing up here were very strong, but I understand just from people I've been in contact with that this has been a lingering conversation, and enough's enough.
So Jedi, Mike, I appreciate your comments. If I understood correctly, it almost sounded like you were almost like a 5-point checklist of what needs to be done. So one, you talked about content creators and the comments that are taking place in their platforms. They need to police that a lot better to remove that content and just not let it, and just don't stand on free speech. But you know, again, people need to get checked, and certain content should be allowed. The last one that you mentioned, though, was a little, I wasn't quite sure where you were going with that last point. Are you saying at the cosplay conventions or whatever, or maybe that's something that maybe you might want to flesh out to have, okay,
yeah, so BlurCon,
a you know, like a 5-point, this needs to happen, especially in the spaces we occupy, like you said, the Black conventions and whatnot. This is what we, you know, stand on. So if you might want to build that as a something in the future. But I like where you were going with that.
Yeah, one of my friends who are co-owners of the BlurCon, and then also here in DC as well, is that from an administrative level, that you haven't you're fully establishing rules and policies in place in terms of protecting and creating a quote unquote safe space for this for these events as they're going along, and on a national level, right? Movements like Blurred and Powerful, you know, you're promoting, you know, the Blurred community, not just, you know, in terms of people in comics or, but also cosplayers, etc. But when it comes to how we have these conventions, we have to understand that there's also a floodway of pushback of social media, again, going back into the influencers, of people trying to go into these spaces and try to create some type of uproar for the sake of content and for the sake of getting views and everything, or just to stir the pot or poke the bear, right? So that's where, I mean, in terms of establishing the people that, you know, who is invited, who comes into these spaces, and even though you're making it open to the mass public, again, it does invite that, you know, the risk of people just going there, just find opportunity just to destroy everything, you know. And that's what I meant on an administrative level of make sure you're establishing policies to protecting people and protecting people going to these events and everything, making sure they're having a good time. But yeah, but also just in terms of you making sure your morals and principles are being, you know, laid out and also explained to the mass public.
I love that. Appreciate that.
Jay, you're next.
I don't know how much I miss. This was one of the talks I had with my friend when it came to the Black sister who cosplay specifically. We had a conversation on this, and there was something I came to realize when we were having that conversation, because we actually it was literally last night, and I want to point something out. You hear this from me first before I make my statement. I do not endorse the comments that were said about her specifically, that I need to freaking serious and journey. Like, it's not cool to freaking bombard somebody. Like, the loss of life, I'm not a fan of that. I've never been a fan of that, taking your life away because of what people say, particularly. And I want to point something out. There's a difference between saying something to you that can hurt you and then something that is like bullying, which is like, we're going to KILLU. Yes, that's bullying. Then that, but being critiqued or being analyzed of any kind, if you're a cosplayer of any kind, when you get into that when you jump into that particular type of scene, you gotta understand there are such thing as called elitists, people who like the characters of how they actually look. Chun-Li is not black; she is Asian. She is not. She's not supposed to look fat. She's supposed to look hot and athletically toned. And the form of gatekeeping that I know of is like, just do my girl justice, because we fell in love with that character and things of that nature. But also I understand on the other end that people should be allowed to cosplay the characters that they want to cosplay as. So let me say this. There's a black character in Bleach called Tosin, and CBN knows what I'm talking about. He is a black character with dreadlocks, purple dreadlocks. He's blind. And I haven't run into anybody who's like of a different ethnicity cosplay him particularly. It's always been particularly black people that I know who cosplay him very well. Now, the only thing they're going to be graded on is, do you look like the character? And more than that, like, brother, you got the dreadlocks. Okay, bro, you got the look. You got such and such. You're representing us very well. Well, you're representing the character very well, and you're representing us because he is black representation. Because he is a black man. He is a blind black man. And more often than not, it'll just be a string of comments that'll be like, well, you could have fixed this and that. And like I said, there's one thing that's critiquing. There's such thing as a compliment, and then there's comments, and then there's, like I said, then there's straight bullying to the point where it's like, okay, this is out of line. You should not be doing this. I don't give a damn who you are. Anime, cosplay, all this stuff, it's for all of us to enjoy and listen to, all of us to represent, express ourselves as a form of expression for us. I've been following anime since I was freaking 9 to 10 years old, bro. And there are a lot of black characters I could cosplay now because there are a lot out there, like I said. Now for her particularly, I've seen what she cosplayed, and her cosplays are on point. Particularly, she wasn't overweight in any type particularly in some things she wore. But I do want to say this to people out there. I suggest that you be respectful in the comments of somebody. Like I said, you can critique and do all of that, but do not be out there bullying somebody, like, just because you feel some type of way. And I'm like, and here's what I mean.
I want to let that nigga walk.
Oh, somebody in the background talking? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear anybody. Oh, okay. But like I said, I run into these things a lot of times when I run into these comments. That's why I'm rarely on Twitter. I'm rarely on IG, and I'm only there for my man, support my man Jedi Mike whenever he posts something, good movies and things like that. But because some of the social media stuff is like really toxic. I shouldn't say some of it. All of it's really toxic at a certain point. Whether you're running a YouTube channel, whether you're running a Twitter, whether you're running an IG, doesn't matter. Like I said, you will get your teeth on anything that you post, and the most of the consensus is, well, this is my business because you posted it online. It's for everybody to see, so you have to understand that comes with it regardless. But I want to say something to everybody who out there who cosplays too. Listen, don't let anybody's comments get to you. You keep cosplaying what you want, and make sure you have fun doing it, because like I said, we're all here to enjoy the things we love, the things we like. I'm not here gatekeeping, or I'm not running a damage control for most of the stuff. But when it comes to my
No, you don't believe me. It's like the evidence is like right there.
Someone's mic. Can someone use someone's mic?
Is that my mic?
Not my fault.
Yeah, because I don't have anything playing in the background. Just me, just making sure my IG's not playing anything. I can close that. Yeah, but like I said, it's a sense of urgency right now. Like I said, because I remember I was in college. Because I want to tell you all this quick story. Because I told Wally when he told me the topic that was going to be brought this Friday, and I told him this was literally 2011 or 2012. I was in college, and guess what? I had heard a story of some kid in a different country had self-deleted himself because a character had died. And you know what and I'm going to be very direct when I say this. You know what I heard, like what came to my mind when I thought that? First of all, the loss of life, that's freaking terrible. I don't know, like, that's just terrible. Well, why would you take your life over a character actually dying? And the thing is, I understand these characters have representations and you know, emotionally they matter to us and things like that, like T'Challa and all these other characters. But I'm going to say this. I told myself I have no sympathy for somebody who is self-obsessed with stuff like that. And to me, that goes to a deeper issue. I'm like, maybe he connected to that story on a personal level. You can say all these things, but there's no reason to take your life over something like as simple as that. Because, like I said, whatever you may have been going through, I don't think, like I said, I think it was more of his parents not being in his life. That's what I personally think. And also, he connected to this story so deeply in the way that a character that he connected with, he wanted to be in a symbiotic relationship with that character, and he ended up, like, you know, taking off, you know, forfeiting his future. And I just want that to be known that this is, like I said, this is something, all these forms of mediums that we have that have helped us grow up, that we've grown up, that we love, and things like that. I always want to make sure that people never take it so seriously to the point where they do things like this. And also to the sister who was cosplaying, like I said, her life had a lot of value, particularly to her parents, her family, things of that nature. I want to say that she should not have taken her life for that. Like I said, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who loved her and things of that nature, regardless if she was making money from it or not. And like I said, and by the way, guys, it is a business to cosplay out here, and they get paid particularly. People don't just do it for like the glamours and all that. Like I said, they do it to get paid at some point. Whether it be whether it be an online business or something you and your friends decide to do every year at a convention, you know, just for like a get together photo shoots. And like I said, because I have a friend who takes pictures, who does cosplay pictures of people who want to do it, boys and girls, and it's physically demanding. It's, like I said, it's almost to the point where it's an actual job. So I just hope that I'm making this clear and simple, that I'm gonna be very simple when I say this. Please get the hell out of people's business. If that person wants to cosplay, let them cosplay. If you're gonna critique it, then critique it and be respectful. That's what I'm gonna say. And if they don't like the character that you did, then don't freaking bully them to the point where they, you know, self-delete themselves or anything like that. But you have a right to critique, but also you have a right to be respectful about how the way you do things. It's that freaking simple. And I want to say this: my heart goes out to the girl who passed away, and shout out to her family, friends. Like I said, I hope they're doing okay. And you know, I hope, like, you know, people can take things from this incident, learn, and not be so stuck up in their damn ways, and really understand that, like I said, we're all here. Like I said, we're all on this planet together, and we need to find ways to love, cooperate with each other, and then try to understand each other. And like I said, I'm a bit of an elitist, but guess what? I do have sympathy for people, especially, you know, loss of life and things of that nature. So with that being said, you know, I end my point. Mr. Bennett, Wally, CBN, thanks. I want to thank you guys for having me on. I got to work tomorrow. I just got off. So I want to contribute my thoughts to this. I'm just saying, listen, I love anime. I love comic books. I love all this stuff, man. I don't give a damn what anyone tells me, man. Trust me, I'm going to be able to love this until I'm in the ground. So, and hopefully my kids and my, you know, nieces and nephews love the same thing I like and get a chance to experience and like this stuff. Because guess what? We grew up with it, and it's, to me, it's a passing of the torch, and it's a lineage of legacy. Hence Static Shock. So I'll just end it there.
Let me just say this. I'm glad that Wally did that what he did earlier. It brought a lot to my thought process because if we are looking for representation in the anime community, we don't get a lot in the comic book community as well. What you mentioned, Blue Marvel and those lists. You and I, Jay, we have been behind the scene, talk about these things, went on the hours. If anybody know
Yeah.
about me, Wale, and Jay Kakachi, if you on the phone talk about these topics, it will go for hours. God, that's how deep we are in this thing. Sometimes we wish you could have someone like Jedi Mike, but Jedi Mike is always on the road doing a lot of more work than what we are doing. We are hoping that this platform becomes something that people can reference to. But as for the cosplay community, I will say this. I believe this could be a start of a community building because if you were to put a list of how many black cosplayers that we knew out there, the numbers had increased more than into the thousands right now. And I don't think people understand that how bad that is.
Put it down,
That
Dave.
is
You don't have to put it up yet.
okay. Sorry about that. Let me put it down. It's a very big deal to me. The reason I'm saying that, I mentioned it started up in the 90s. It got bigger in the 2000s. 2010, 2020, there's a huge fluctuation of number of people who are joined in to the cosplaying community. And it's more regional than what you think it is right now. I say regional. We had the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. It will pop up on either in Comic Con, which passed recently, or the newest one called Anime Con. There was one in particular that a fellow cosplayer, she showed up on the one in Georgia. There are regional event going on throughout the years. And I would say it's safe to say I think this should be brought into awareness going forward, starting in 2026. Whoever is promoting an event, either it being with the Northeast, Southeast, Northwest, Southwest, whatever region you may be in, this should be a topic that should be brought up into the attention based on what kind of community are you a part of. It is on Facebook, it is on YouTube, or it is on a standalone platform, or you have like a Discord server for this, or you're on Patreon, whatever it may be. This should be a push forward going forward right now on the type of thing because if it's not the cosplay thing that we talk about, it's the content creator who are reacting to anime or reacting to manga or respond to upcoming manga or anime. Jay Kikachi have been doing that for a while now. He talked about present anime and upcoming anime. You have to show when you have the time to do so. We built this platform called Anime Unlock for the sake of not just that alone, but the broader aspect of not just anime, but also manga. We might well have to include cosplaying as well. It's part of that community as well. And when we debated about the topic to us, I thought it would be a straightforward topic, but it's not a straightforward topic. The Benedict Elder, he know about the anime that came in from the early 70s, 80s, and 90s based on introduction. You remember the keyword he said it was ported, which is totally correct. A lot of anime that were ported as cartoon, but we learned it's not cartoons actually animated because of the style they were using back then. So there's a lot of factors in playing this. And the fact that our people are heavy into it more than we would expected. Anyone who knew about the Barnes& Noble era before the pandemic, anyone, and of course, the multiple things. If you've been to Barnes& Noble, the more demographic you see in that section of the light book or the graphic novel book are mostly African American, Afro Latinos. It's heavy for a specific reason. And it's been growing over time. And then whenever the pandemic, Barnes& Noble will not be shut down. And it will be a thing. You see people hanging out in Barnes& Noble only for that sake only. And when Wally brought the topic to me about this particular individual taking a life, I found it troublesome. Like, why was it? Yes, no one should be put to a place whereby they're to take their life over it. It should never be. But we're now starting to realize that there are people, I hate to say, don't belong in the anime on manga community to begin with, because if you're not aware, Japanese anime, Japanese manga don't follow the same norm at the comic book arena. They're two different things. A lot of us who joined the anime community, who joined the manga community, because we love the storytelling, we love the art form, we love the design, we love the world building, we love the character building. There's so many factors that come into play of this. It's not no straightforward thing that you can come and just put your own idiotic mind to, okay, this high per regulate. If you're not of this rate, no, it doesn't work that way. And I mentioned Black Sand have a lot of big name on their own anime product they're working on for the past couple of years. I knew of Black Sand since the early 2000s. I didn't know it would get this big because they dream big. And they got a lot of names joining into this thing. So this topic is not a straightforward, no simple topic, the way I'm looking at it right now. It's something that we will touch again in a few months from now, maybe by January or February. We don't know. But we do know it will become a talk. Either Jay carry on the conversation, or Jedi might take it even further because the people he networked with. It will become a thing. While and I will continue to hold it down here as much as we can, based on the topic that come across us. And we do hope to bring other well-known content creators in the community who understand anime, who understand manga and book and cosplay, might want to come on and give their contribution to the conversation. This is something very unusual. I'm not gonna lie, I still don't feel comfortable knowing that I took their life over this. It don't feel right. But coming from Wale's point of view, there was no point waiting to see that on the comic book side of it. But I was ready done with that. He mentioned character that I didn't want to speak of, and when he brought it up, I was like, you know what? He have a valid argument. He got a valid point. Yeah, I've got to a point whereby you almost don't care anymore. A lot of people who are comic book fan left the comic book arena to join the manga arena, and they enjoy what they see there. Are they acting for reputation? Mostly, no. Because they can relate to that more than they relate to the comic books. This has been made crystal clear. So we're not fighting for this. We have our elder Mr. Bennett who have known about the anime part since the early 70s, early 80s. His viewpoint will be different from our young generation viewpoint. Not just our viewpoint, the one coming behind us, Jeremiah A group might be completely different from our viewpoint as well. That is something that we all have to understand. You know what? There are different generations, there are different approach to this thing. And how we deal with the topic depends on how we pass it down to the next generation. But while the standpoint is heavy, I'm not gonna lie. We have done this several times, multiple occasions on the comic book side of things. And we got no feedback behind that. This is why we did a mass exodus of comic book lovers walking away from comic book, going to anime. So I would say that as someone who is passionate, I'm an African, I'm a Nigerian. I'm hearing that the anime is now stretching forward into the African region more than expected. So I'm hoping that this content reach out over there. And if you have a critique about it, please leave your comment.
Right.
I ask for critique because I want to know if we hit the topic wrong or right. Remember you call the show Anime Unlock? No, anime is safe. You do great. We say we do great. If we do bad, we will criticize you. It's also applied to manga. Now, if we were start doing a show about cosplaying, we might well do that and be critique about it objectively. But we're not going to go to the point whereby you're beating down somebody based on race. I'm not going to tolerate on this show. I may not be around. I may be sick while I may take over, but if I hear anybody try that, I will say this. This makes sure I don't know your address. I may be scrolling to the wall, start banging on your ceiling. I'm like, okay, what's going on? But this is not needed. I got young kids who love animes. Jedi know people who love it. JTK know people that love it. While it does, while it's in Florida, so it's not going to be a surprising thing that people try to hush up about their love for anime. Shout out What We Know podcast. He said it. He was the undercover who like anime, but because of the street credit, you want to brought it out. DJ Hemp is another individual who had to play sport jock, but he loved anime. And may have a broad reach for a lot of people for a lot of different purposes. But it doesn't mean anyone to come in and start being racial about it. So, Mr. Bennett, I thank you for this topic. I didn't think it would be this big of a deal until after hear that information that took place.
And just to put this in context, ladies and gentlemen, when we thought of this idea, when Paul Bennett brought this to us, this death happened right after the fact. This concept,
and I had no idea.
Right, and that's the thing. That's the fucked up thing about it. You brung it up to us. We made the title, and then boom, this is what happens.
And it got bigger than what it. And it got bigger than what it is. It got bigger than what it is because me, while they did trust us on the phone. If we don't get the chance to sleep, we will talk on this thing for hours on end.
Yeah.
And God forbid you drag Jedi Mike. We don't want his wife to curse her out. Be my husband. He needs to sleep.
I mean, he married, so he got to get some sleep. You know, so much his job represents does that. But you know, shout to my Jedi. But
real
like,
quick,
oh no, go ahead, Wally. I was gonna make a statement, but go ahead. I want you to get Wally to out.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, this is my thing, right? And I know Eric.
Y'all good, family. Y'all enjoy y'all conversation. Hey,
sis.
How you
you
doing?
gonna get a lightsaber?
Hold on. Do we call you Mrs. Sowell? What do we call you?
Yeah, Mrs. Sowell's fine.
Mrs. Sowell. Okay. Oh yeah. By the way, congratulations on the wedding and the marriage. Shout out.
Thank you.
I didn't get a chance to say that because Jared didn't give us a date. So, congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it, brother.
No problem.
Hey man, black love is still out there, y'all. These two of the example.
Wally, what you were saying?
Yeah, but going back to real quick the two points of conversation. So to what Eric and what Peter said in the chat, mentioning Miles Morales and then Sam Wilson, aka the Falcon. Thing is, I'm gonna pinpoint more so on, Eric's point, right? Because Miles Morales, right? Because again, whoever dons the Spider-Man, I mean, that doesn't matter who it is. Don't matter. I mean, granted, yes, the overall wrenching is Peter Parker, depending on whatever visual looks he looks like. But that expands to a nationality eventually down the line. But, this is the thing that I speak about when it comes to what Eric's standpoint of when he said Sam Wilson, right? Sam Wilson in Marvel's called the Falcon. But guess what? Isn't it interesting? He dons the new era of what is Captain America. But I find it funny. When we think about a bird in America that is represented, isn't it an eagle? But we made a man that is calling himself the Falcon. Make that make sense. Please, make it make sense.
Well, now that you think of it, most black characters that represented birds are called Falcon go back to the Super Friends. Remember when the Super Friends went quote unquote woke?
True.
Oh, Black Falcon.
True. But you know what? But my thing is this.
The Wonder Twins.
Think about it. When you look at an eagle, look at the colorization of the eagle, the whole presentation. You trying to tell me we couldn't just call a man the eagle or some type of unique name to that standpoint? I'm just saying. You're gonna don Captain America. You're gonna don the imitation, but in your own way, in your own coloration. But you could call it. But you're once upon a time called the Falcon. Yeah, thank you for making that make sense.
Listen, the Falcon has been associated with black culture, bro. Look at ATL.
No, I'm not saying it ain't.
Atlanta
I'm not saying it
Falcons,
ain't.
the Dirty
But I'm
Bird and
saying,
whatnot.
when
We
you
kind of
understand
co-opted
background-
that bird, bro.
Why don't you call him American
Falcon's
Eagle?
ours.
Grand call him Captain America.
you. But notice what I'm saying. What I'm
Yeah,
saying is,
Mike, I
I'm not
agree.
saying the Falcon is not represented with black. What I'm saying is understanding the quote, understanding the tone of the messaging that you're sending. When you're passing that title of being Captain America, the man that stands, pleads, and fights for America, and then you hand it off to a guy that's called the Falcon. I'm just saying, long term, you knew you was gonna do that. Just saying, why not call him the American Eagle, whatever?
Or why not call him Captain America? If it's Captain America.
Call him American Eagle.
Falcon America is crazy.
Hey,
Yeah, I
which
see what
way?
you're saying. No,
All I'm saying
no
is,
Falcon America.
when you look at it in bird text, you knew it was coming. Someone smart enough knew this. I know I ain't the only one that thought of this. And if I am, boy, y'all better spread it out there. Because ain't no way. Ain't no way. Respect.
I mean, I do want to touch on a couple things, but I mean,
real quick.
Said,
I'm gonna let you touch on. I do want to say this one last thing though.
Go ahead, Wally.
This is just my call of action to a lot of people in anime that are the anime writers and the creators of anime. If there's nothing more, I would literally ask in the showness of what transpired that was shown on the show. Is this more of these characters that you guys bring in to show a little bit more lightness in here as far as the black characters? Please be more ideal in showing nationality, please, because I think that is at least a starting pace of anything as far as knowing what these anime creators are. Because other than just knowing them for their tone or their coloration, knowing their background is so much important. I think that is needed to just address who they are. Hey, good, Eric. Good. Thank you. But that's my thing. I think that should be shown around across the board. Just being able to know when you make these characters actually have a background in them. No more, no less. But yeah, that's just my call to action for this, just to read a little bit more, because in particular to the list that Paul Bennett showed, right, that he had for us for the show, there was that one character, the black purple hair character in Bleach, because a lot of people question her background nationality, and no one will have an actual key tone of what she is in that sense. Right. And so there's a lot of people in anime that are black, but they don't have no real background or nationality of their description. They just have a certain vibe and a certain flair. And that's it. And you know it's in black culture, but you don't know where of black culture they come from in nationality sense. And I just wish to just add that in there and make that be known across the board, because I think at this point it's more important. I know comic books do it. Just please put that in there. That's all I ask for. But with that said, you guys go ahead.
Oh, Mr. Ben, you wanted to say something?
No, well, like I said, I just looked at the time. I'm almost on here for 3 hours. This is the longest show that I've been on since the pandemic.
Yeah, this is like
barbershop, BME,
barbershop, all of it.
Whatever. I was like, I got so used to, okay, we got wrap up the show at 1:55, right? We got a block, we got to get off. So I looked up and I was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea I was on too long. But listen, guys,
this is why I'm going to be talking about doing a daytime show, because we understand nighttime could be a little bit too long. But
yes. So guys, I'm about to drop, but like I said, I really appreciate this show, and I'll still be watching, because I do want you guys to take a look at that top 10 list, whether you agree to it or not, or even like I said, even some of the characters, like I said, some of the black samurai or Afro samurai, that's pretty apparent. But there were a couple of them there. I was like, oh, just looking at them, I don't know if they were meant to be depicted as that. I think Philly the Kid. I don't know if that's is that a representation or not? But I'd be certainly listening and watching on to see what you guys think about that. But again, guys, I had fun. I think this was certainly relevant. And again, I would certainly encourage your channel to continue this conversation. And again, I know Wally sometimes it gets uncomfortable, and and I understand.
We're going to do a part 2 to this.
But this is important
I'm very
stuff.
comfortable with this.
But this is very important. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
And we should continue this conversation. And Jay, Jedi Mike, you guys keep handling your business as well, because I
Thank
know
you,
you
Mr.
guys speak for
Bennett,
the
man.
younger generations. And Jedi Mike, continue to create your lane and be an influence in that community and in that world that you're in. All the blessings
Thank
to
you,
you
man.
and everything that you do. But guys, I had a great time. But I
Thank
will
you.
continue to listen. But you guys keep doing what you guys doing. I'll talk to you guys later on.
Mr. Bennett,
No
you
problem.
said, brother.
Yes, sir.
I would say that Mr. Bennett, you made it very interesting to have this topic. We didn't think it would be this far of a big deal. I'm being serious because
Okay.
while they made a solid point, you made your own solid point. Jedi Mike made a solid point. And now that I look at it more, I thought it would be a one and done show, but it's not gonna be a one and done show. Yeah, aspect of what it did said, it hit home. It did. And I'm seeing a lot on my feed on Instagram about talking these black characters, either be Marvel or DC, that they even try to push out. They want it to be forgotten, but I find it disrespectful. And now they lost their readership to the manga arena, to the anime arena. Now we are getting this racist tone going on. I think we might have to go on a next show, either be a recording or be on a live, and we start doing a breakdown on some of these characters, some of these iconic anime that we already know already that already been out.
Right, because funny enough, to leading to the fact of the list, I went like as you guys were talking, and I was searching up real quick each background of each character. Like I said before, I forgot her name properly. Hold on, because the one I'm from Bleach, right? That the black, but she has purple hair.
Yoichi.
Yeah, Norichi, right? I mean, congratulations, because again, because here's the thing, right? People say she looks black and all this, but at the same time she has the purple hair, or all this, and she doesn't seem black even though she has the skin text, right? But the thing is very very irritating with this is, right, it's the simple fact that this is why I'm saying, like, if you're gonna make these characters, please have background nationality in this. Please put that out there, because that go ahead.
I see what you're saying. No, because I'm not know what you're saying, because I want to tell you what you're saying. Some of these worlds are like in fantasy, particularly, so they can't do that for everything. Like, there are certain authors who will give them nationality. So, for example, One Piece. Oda, and this is where Oda answers questions, and he could have never ever answered this question. Everybody would be, I don't think anybody would be irritated because it's fantasy and they're in like there's like giants and stuff in that world. But he gave ethnicity, nationality, and ethnicities to all the Straw Hats and where they would be. So, for example, Luffy is Brazilian, even though I think he should be a little bit darker, in my opinion, because I've seen different, because Brazilian skin, skin tones varies in the black department. They're not all the same. They vary. But Luffy's Brazilian. Usopp is from Africa. He's black. He just has a long nose. And now hold on. They did that not to insult black people, but they did it to the whole Pinocchio thing, because he lies. That's why he has a long nose. It has nothing to do with black people. They did that to be funny. That doesn't offend me. I just think it's funny, because he was lame when he was introduced, and then he got muscles and the times came. I'm like, okay, now he's better. Robin's Russian. She, even though I debate this a long time, because she was literally in a country that was hot, like literally, like the climate was different, and her skin tone looked like that of a Latina girl. So that's why that always irritated me, because I like the first look first, then the second look personally. That's a personal preference of mine, but she's supposed to be Russian. Sanji's French. He's from France. Like the cook guy, he's from France. And Frankie, okay, this doesn't accept me. Frankie's American. He's American. He's Caucasian.
No, yeah, I mean, yeah, Jay, we put out a lot of different characters beforehand, before you came up, but
right.
As far as a few examples, but my thing is, to the point of it all is,
but I'm saying he's the only one that'll do that. There are some authors, like I guess that will and won't.
I understand that part. Yeah, I understand that part, but that's my whole thing. Is like at this point, if you, my thing is this: if you're gonna just put that out there in the scenery, it still should be known. And it's like again, this is not what it is exactly. This is just one of the many predictions of what she could be, right? As far as what I did in research, but that's my thing. You won't know until someone actually say it, or at the same time you do research. But at the end of the day, the hair, let's be real, fantasy. Anyone can bleach their dang hair purple and then have it that way.
It's called
I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. So at this point, if you're not gonna do even a deeper dive in knowing and understanding these characters, please.
And I'll say this: I don't think
please acknowledge Eric's comments as far as the time.
If we sweep it under the rug, I'm not. Wait. If you sweep it under the rug, I'm not coming back. What question?
I think he's talking about the
Yoichi.
As far as for the Captain America, he's talking about because when he was giving me the background checks.
Oh, is he talking about Isaiah Bradley?
No. He was talking about the character that he was talking about when it came to the Sam Wilson's Captain America. I guess he was talking about a particular edition.
Oh, okay.
Well,
then he hasn't read the Isaiah Bradley one because that's really the other Captain America. Even though Marvel MCU, I think, did a good job introducing the character that played him very well. You just didn't see him in his prime. You saw the after effect of what happened to him. But
it's also based on the writer.
Yeah, but also I like that book because Captain America tracks him down literally and says thank you for the service you've done for America, my man. He hugged him, gave him take a picture with him and his wife. I was like, bro, I love that. I love that book because it's like Cap don't give a damn about ethnicity. Cap just cares about if you believe what he believes in and you believe in America, you believe you want to protect America like the way he does. He loves and respects you for it. And he realized they were going to give him his due, but he came and tracked him down and says, fuck them. I'm giving you your props for what you've done, my man. You deserve to be respected and things of that. But, I think that show takes it to another level where they build a statue of Isaiah Bradley because he's another super soldier. So, because he did something back in that time where his people, where our people got experimented on and things of that nature, and he went in there and did something very heroic. Even though he didn't get rewarded for it, but his reward comes later on, more so when Sam comes around. So, that's why I said when they touch up on that stuff, like I said, I think in Japan they won't hit up on some of those things sometimes, but I think America will hit up on it more. And the reason why is because they actually, there's representation more so in there than it is in anime. Because I've been a little bit of a purist when I say Japan makes their characters for their series what suits them. They can choose to go in depth on where their characters are from or not, and sometimes what they want to create is just an entertaining series. So they're not really concerned with all that. Like I'll give you an example. There is a black female character that I fucking love, and guess what? It is in a fantasy type series called Radiant. She has braidings that look really damn cool. She herself is a full-on black character. And she is cool. She's not sassy and all the other bullshit, but she's like, she's kind-hearted, she's strong, she's trying to find her place in the world. And they writ her character, and trust me, the way they reward and write her character, I was surprised what they did with her. I was like, okay. Now this is something little girls can look up to. Sisters, like girls who are black, yes. But the thing is, they never touch up. Here's the thing. She's a knight in training, so they never touch up on where her origins are. All you know is that she, like a bunch of other freaking characters in there, because they're not all Caucasian. Some of them are doors, and some of them are different people. So that's what I'm saying. Because you get different species and you get different ethnicities in there. So it's more so like the payoff you get with her character. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but watch Radiant. When you get to her, you'll know, like how good of a character she is. Like you'll immediately connect with that.
So going forward, I will act.
And by the way, she's not in some poverty situation, by the way. So I'll just debunk that shit because they didn't do that. So
going forward,
America will do that.
I'll ask everybody to do the recommendation on the comment section when the show is over because this topic I do hope I get a lot of comment behind because both Wally and I without looking at the comment far more than usual.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of anime that we haven't got a chance to do a review on a while because we were taking a different direction because one, we were trying to create a show that have people understand what anime truly is. Let them know it's not like comic book, it's not like the cartoon you watch, it's different. And this topic is prove a point where we need to have that discussion going forward, but more in depth and breakdown. Because while they do have a point, sometimes you need to know the origin. At the same time, you have ultimate upon Jidakachi based on the
Yeah.
storyline. It'll never let you know the origin, but it lets you know the characteristic of it.
No,
Right.
yeah,
I think
I understand that. No, my thing is the only reason why I asked for it because honestly, again, I think again if you're going to employ these characters, let's also think this: you can't sit here and say blacks. Okay, you made a black character and think everyone's the same black. No, everyone's not the same black. Just going to be honest about that. Everyone's not the same black. There's black Africans, there's black Caribbeans, there's black Americans, there's black, wherever in the world. Everyone's not the same black. That's just the truth.
Yeah.
Just put that out there. Just put more faith in giving more tones to people. Well, not tones, but identity to people of that nature. Like, okay, perfect example. Anita from for anyone that knows Casablanca, right?
What is it called?
Anita.
Sorry, I was trying to make sure you. I was trying to make sure you did it. But yeah, this is the one I was talking about right here. Ochako. She's the one I'm talking about. Basically, she has braided hair. She's black. Like I said, she's hand-to-hand combat, all of that nature, and like she looks like a black girl.
and the name itself, Ocho, is an African origin.
Ochako. Ochako. I'm trying to pronounce it the correct way, but yeah. But yeah, she's really my favorite character, and they did that character a lot of justice of what you would want a representation. And I think, and I want to add to Wally's point that I think cats are just happy when they of our people are just happy when they see a black character really looking cool and just doesn't look like a freaking idiot and things like that. Like the kids, the one kid from Soul Eater, there's a black. I think Wally may have seen Soul Eater. But there's a black kid with fisted gloves and stuff, and he has like two.
Yeah, it's actually part of the list.
Yeah. So you see what I'm saying? And I remember somebody brought him up in the stream 2 years ago, and I was like, "Yeah, dude." He said, "I thought it was pretty cool." Wish we could see a little bit more of him, but we saw him maybe like 4 or 5 episodes or something like that, and then he kind of disappears because he's not part of the main cast, but he's a support.
Yeah,
cast.
he's a support. Yeah.
Yeah, but go ahead, Wally. I'm sorry.
No, yeah, I was just saying. If anyone knows the anime character Anita from Casablanca, then you would know from her, right? From her tone, the looks. Hold on, let me see if I can find it just to show you off real quick, so you know what she looks like. Hold on, let me share this real fast because also we want to get out of here. All right, share that, David.
Okay.
So this is Anita from Casablanca.
Oh, her. Oh,
Castlevania.
Right.
Castlevania.
So,
not her. Okay.
yeah. So
The origin of that, the character is from Yoruba land.
who?
The origin of that character is Yoruba land because she was mentioned African god that based on my tribe.
Well, here's a newsflash of based on research that I just looked up, just the context, because this is what they say, right? This is what I said in front of research. In origins, she was born on an Afro Caribbean plantation in Saint Domingo, where she was enslaved. Now, cultural heritage-wise, yes, she's from Yoruba, people from the West Africans, and which with her bloodline being descendants of divine African spirits known as Orn Ishma or Ishas.
Yeah.
Because I'm butchering that a little bit, right? And everything else, right? But coming from that, they will also say that she's from a French Caribbean type roots, where she was colonized, which is pretty much the modern day Haiti. So, understand that and everything else. She could be, she more likely originated from the West Africans than she shifted, and then of course she's actually now the modern day people of Haiti, where she stands as a Haitian. What I'm saying is this like context. Again, I think everyone should know who are they dealing with, who they're facing. Some people are very easy, and again, if you pay attention, you know what you're looking at. It's very easy to understand. We don't really need that if you have common sense. But for others, they need that.
I'm glad what you said. I watched this thing, and when they were mentioning the god of Ogun, not god of iron, I was like,
all right, Eric.
I was like, okay, that's a twist.
Yeah.
So while it's correct, it nailed it on because, and this is why I mentioned, I think we need to start doing a 3D type of anime that's being pointed out as well. But also to be a constant reminder, we do have a black-owned Japanese animation production studio run by a black man. So in case no one don't remember, we do get a chance to show some clip of the interview with another future time. So at least you can pick up on it and say, yes, we are there now. Besides just having our characteristic in the anime, we have people who look like us create the anime as well.
Right. But look.
So in hindsight, let's get our final thought.
No, finish your statement. Finish your statement.
What I'm trying to say is, this topic is, I thought it will be a one-time thing, but I don't think it's going to be a one-time thing going forward. I think we take the mantle and start going a little further in detail when we start doing these animes and start pointing out the origin based on the production side of things, as well as the character side of things. Well, because either I do it, or you do it, Wale, or Jay does it, or you have Jenna Mike who might be out there in the field.
I mean, we can always talk about it. I mean, there's always going to be more. Because I think, honestly, at this point, if we want to talk about, because I say it like this, right? And it's crazy that it comes to this, but even then it is not that crazy. Because honestly, there's even other characters. Like, for instance, Killer Bee. Where does he originally comes from? Right? Because you know he got the vibe. But guess what? People will question that too.
That's an easy answer.
Question. But no, well, it's easy answer where he comes from in background because of you know what you hear. But when you're talking about nationality, now you really got to pinpoint where is he really coming from. Because again, let's be honest, to the point that you hear of, you know, the black man that was in Japan and he's that person, and now they finally put out his story. But again, it's like you're not speaking highly that black people back in the days were actually in the Asian region. And
Killer Bee clan, both of them all had the same skin color.
But that's the thing. It's like hiding that type of history background, hiding that, you know, that origins, it still stands to something. It still stands something. And I think at this point, being in a lump sum visual, there's no respect there. You gotta be able to at least mention where it comes from, because I think that just fair across the board. Granted, names can be easy, and you know we pinpoint, we be like, oh, we know where that comes from. That name is isolated as this potential race or nationality.
Well,
but some people may not know that.
I want to say something. There is a character in Bleach. He's one of the Espada. CB knows what I'm talking about. Zamori. Okay, so when he does his resurrection and he says Rahavaria, and what does that remind you? And it's like voodoo type, like how they speak. Like I already know where he's from. Like he's from the Bayou, particularly of New Orleans, like that area.
Right. See, think about it. You say
because they label that as, because I've read a lot of, I read a lot of South stuff when I was in high school. I actually looked that up. So when I heard words like that, and then he said that, I'm like, okay, I see. I don't need to know where this he's from. I can already guess what he does his resurrection, what they're basing it off.
Right. No, but to that point, Jay, right? A lot of people in New Orleans that are black, most people would be pretty much, if they're from the Caribbeans, from that type of
from the Caribbeans too. Yeah, exactly. Caribbeans.
It would be where? Guess what? It'd be more likely from Haiti. And you know, people would pretty much be in that area, and especially when you hear the Creole type fooding or something like that, you already know that's Haitians. So that's what I'm saying. Like understanding those things or understanding those depictions, as far as if it's in America or neither, if it's even going far way back to the islands, is needed. Because again, everything everyone should be able to be honored to know that, hey, my people are being seen in a broader stance of visuals. Comic books do it. I think manga should start doing it too.
Well, I
mean,
think
I'll say
that
even more insane say if want to keep it real because they're supposed to be in Rome or Greece somewhere, and the ethnicity of those characters are either like different places. I don't think there are any black people particularly, but that's because it's more of Europe and things of that nature. So it's
I
the
would say
same thing
this.
with Full Metal Alchemists and things like that. Like, yeah, that's Europe.
I would say that this should be our own task going forward because we are part of the community right now to speak. Because as we are venturing and we are seeing more and more anime, we start to pick up on a lot of other things. Fire Force did that already. Fire Force had a black character who, from
Yeah, they did.
And they gave him a name and the flair and the way he was moving, the way he was acting.
Yeah,
so
isn't
I
that
think
Ogun?
Oshun.
Oh yeah, okay.
The Castlevania character with Ogun, God of Iron, and I was throwing back. It did have a mix of Haitian culture and a mix of Nigerian culture on top. So I was like, I think this should be a thing that we all should be a part of. If we do a recording or we do a live broadcast, either of the thing. And I know Jedi Mike got connections. But as time progressed, we go back to viewing anime. And when we come across with a black character, I think we should take the time out to dissect it and put that on a playlist where we start going to recognize all these black characters in anime. Because if you're not watching, you're not paying attention to these anime, you will not catch on to it. Me, I'm a stickler to details. So when I see certain things that stand out, and the storyline, it kind of be like, oh, it's not about. It is what it is. So you just mentioned the J, New Orleans lingo. If you don't pick up the language, you're not know that they put it from New Orleans.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, the girl from Radiant, man, like people would like you could. If you pay attention to how she talks, where she's from, but the thing is, it's a magical world, so it might be like, well, there's this continent of people. Where my people are from. We traverse in Africa, and we're specialized in wind magic or something like that. And then she happens to be over there and things like that. Then people will be like, oh, she's from Africa. Like we got African representation and things like that. So it's just like it's up to. I feel like the creators normally know where it's from. They just want you to figure it out, not to insult your intelligence for you to figure out sometimes.
You know you call it Easter egg?
But, there are certain ones that are like in your face. Like,
Easter eggs.
If you feel insulted, sometimes.
Well,
I know some people feel like that, but whatever. That's just.
I get it. But the thing is, because even to the idea of it all, the thing is, this is my main thing, right? Because people instantly say, like, Mr. Popo from Dragon Ball is black. And the thing, he's not.
Popo?
He's not. It's like, don't get it too twisted. He's not. That's what I'm like, bro,
He's
no.
not.
And that's what I'm saying, like, understanding nationality, even from a creature or an alien standpoint, is needed to be known. But I think also, again,
Piccolo is black, not Mr. Popo.
Right. But even then, but my thing is this, right? Yeah. Understanding this, like, don't get me wrong, right? This is the thing that truly just hits the impact zone, right? And that is, this is where we have to really stand on a premise of, if this show don't do nothing, it stands on the premise of identity matters. It just does. It just does. In some cases. But look, we are going to get the show out. So again, anyone else, please make your final statements on the show, and then we gotta close out.
Let's leave with Jenna Mike because I don't want everybody to come and catch us. They say, you made my husband come to bed late. I think it's not my fault.
Yeah, no, he's already on it. But I'm about to head out. But it was good talking to y'all and everything. And but yeah, this has been a needed conversation that needed to be had. And just unfortunately, the circumstances led to us have this conversation. I wish it was on different terms, but it's what it is, though. But yeah. But no, I'll keep y'all posted. I'll be watching y'all and everything. But no, again, good talking. I hope you guys are doing well and everything. Because
and please critique us if you think we missed a point or two. We like to critique if needed.
Say that again.
Please critique it if you feel like you missed a point or two if needed.
Oh God.
No, I mean, you guys been on it. I mean, I really have nothing. I mean, nothing else on that,
I feel
honestly.
you, Jedi. Jedi, what was your favorite movie this year before you go? I gotta ask you.
This year, Sinners.
Oh, okay. See, you
Mm.
gave Center some love. Hey, dude, listen. I won't lie. I actually like the Superman. I ain't gonna hold you.
I like
Surprisingly,
Superman.
I fell in love, dude. I fell in love with the Last Sun theme. I listen to it every day, man. That's my Superman song, man. I love it. Love it. That's my Superman.
Yeah, no.
The music really holds that movie. I ain't gonna hold you. It really does.
Mhm.
Soundtrack
Yeah.
is good.
Yeah, no, but the year now it's not over yet.
Yeah,
I'm
we
seeing
still
Avatar. I'm
gotta.
seeing Avatar on Monday, so
Oh
hopefully
yeah, dude, I still need
yeah.
to watch the water one first, and then I'm gonna go see the fire one on theaters. I gotta see that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I would say we should have an end of the year show for the anime unlock with all the big heads nerds referring to, because I know we have our viewpoint. I'm not gonna lie. I have my own crate in it, and while it's my checkpoint to let me not go too far off, if necessary. I don't know why he's shaking his head, because sometimes he had his own worst day, and sometimes I had to keep my mouth
Yeah,
shut.
but at least my word stayed inclined.
Damn, Wally, that's a lot of books. I just realized that. God damn.
Yeah, that was very reasons.
So this,
Damn, he
I would
loves it.
take. I'm going to take this. I'm going to take this topic very serious about black representation a little bit more serious than, because I tend to notice, Jedi, I notice very well. They're venturing more deep into African cultures and creating characters that relatable, even though the storyline is not there, but they do so on purpose. And I think we should start doing that more and more. Either Jedi do on his show, you Jack do on your show, we do our own show here as well. That to make it be known. Plus, let's not forget, I'll keep saying it, we do have our own black-owned Japanese studio located in Japan, run by our black brother. Some people are sleeping on that information. They think it's everything done by Japanese people alone. No. So let that guy pop up and decide to show on our show one day. That'll be a nice thing to put on a hot seat, and maybe give us some hint of upcoming project that coming down the pipeline. Without giving up the hint, just
Well, he'd have to keep it under wraps and
I know, direct to the right
temp
direction.
around.
Just no, we're not gonna. We can't put him in trouble because he's doing a lot of work. Same thing with Jedi
But-
Mind. We can't ask Jedi to give us all the hint, and Jedi like, I'm not allowed to. I took an oath until the time comes.
Yeah, I can't say. I mean, other than that, I mean, I got stuff that got sent to me, whatever, from like Netflix and stuff. But it's like I have those things coming up. I don't have I'm not under no NDA. It's award season, so it's more busiest time of the year.
Yeah, you can tell why, because you don't talk about it on screen like us. So that's the key.
Yeah, but I will say I do have. Last week I had the opportunity to interview the cast of Welcome to Derry from HBO. That the dude, one of the guys, he played young Lucius Fox on Gotham.
Okay.
Yeah, but he was great. He plays a young Dick Halloran from The Shining. He was on the show.
Okay.
Yeah, but I
Oh, it's him?
interviewed the cast for the. Yeah, he played young Lucius Fox in Gotham. Loved him. But yeah, but that interview is coming up though. But yeah, I will keep you guys posted and stuff, and I wish you guys
we'll keep following, show you the love. It's needed.
Definitely, Jedi. Listen, man, you keep doing you, bro, man. Listen, you, like I said, man, you keep doing what you love, man. Keep being an awesome husband and things of that nature, bro. And just, hey, man, just keep, like I said, never lose what you love, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely. All right, guys, I'll talk to y'all. Peace of chicken grease.
All right, partner. You be safe.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a crazy show. This show was needed. We will have more of this type of topic in future. I will say this. If I don't go crazy, Wally may go crazy. Wally go crazy, I'm not touching.
Wally won't go crazy. He'll be all right.
I already did went crazy.
Just don't make him go crazy. I got it crazy.
Well, then you missed part of the show because I already went crazy.
Why do you want me to go crazy so he can put me in check?
But
No, you go crazy, but you go crazy in the sense of disrespecting. That's my.
no, that's true. That's true. But,
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. How much time do I gotta keep on you hearing every single time you make a statement? Then you come for freaking comic books. Like comic books is the most trashiest thing in the world. No, we're gonna hold you down to that. We'll hold you down.
Wait, he said that. He said that.
Well, no, literally, he said because for David's like, oh, I walked away from the comic book side of the spectrum because it just was falling off, and I'm like, David, there's some parts of anime that fall off in their own rights.
And I agree.
I
And I
agree.
agree with that.
Well, yes, and so I pointed out there, but the fact that you're saying the way you're saying it, you're saying it like, oh, like anime is obtuse, like it is never gonna look fair. But no,
my issue was too many authors for one character.
There's a good chunk of anime who have some follows. I ain't gonna hold you. There are some definitely. So I can't ignore that.
Yeah,
I may be an anime elitist, but I can admit when someone who's like poorly written or terrible or something like that. But but with that being said, y'all listen. I will be going live Sunday. We got a new member we're gonna introduce to the podcast. It's gonna be 8 around Sunday. Hopefully we get off early when we work. I'm gonna introduce him to everybody, and then it's gonna be a big stream talking about all the stuff like Chainsaw Man movie that I saw. I'm gonna be talking about that. I'm gonna be talking about Gachakuda. That's one of the biggest animes out right now, and there's gonna be other topics as well. But mostly we're gonna be like talking about his types of anime, and we're going to be trying to get him to watch some of the Gundams because he can't get into all the anime for some reason. But I gotta try to convince this man to watch.
No problem. I'll take a jump on that show. And maybe.
Oh yeah, please jump on. I'm gonna need your help for that one too. So like I said,
we did a lot of show already doing breakdown about all type of anime.
Yeah, and everybody, we'll have an interview for next week. It's going to be a pre-recording that me and him did. We're going to drop it next week for you, guys. Problem. Like I said, so that's something somebody can watch on. It'll be dropped on either Wednesday or next Thursday. So I'm just trying to figure out what day to drop it. But we got the thumbnail ready. I'm just going to drop it so everybody can watch what we talked about. Because we talked about music, anime, and then went into his favorites because he likes One Piece a lot. So for all you One Piece fanatics, you can get there's your One Piece combo right there. And I join.
I'll be my mandatory video. But I will say this though. You're part of the family. I know your work is driving you crazy. And you and Jedi are very needed because we can only do too much with our own range.
Mm-hmm.
And we realize now this is bigger than us. So going forward, we'll make sure we put out better content, better conversation. And I'm not gonna lie, I may be biased or critical, but it'll be for a reason. Like I'm seeing right now, there's a lot of change being made, there's a lot of discussion being made. I'm glad I'm getting better. I'm feeling better now than what I was last week. Because there's some stuff I need to post on Discord server because I was telling Wallet about it. There's something I'm picking up on coming from Tommy D writers, but we'll see how that thing play out. What I noticed is the anime unlocked. This is Jay Kakashi, this is Wally, and we see you next week for another episode of Anime Unlock.
Hold on, David. Hold on, because we got to still put out these shows. Real quick.
The schedule? Oh yeah.
Yes, Saturday, ladies and gentlemen, we will have Knight Riders, the Card, the Myth, the Legacy.
Oh boy.
To Sunday show that will be to be announced, so you guys know, stay for the gray area if that's be announced for a show. Following back up on Tuesday, we will have Men Who Expires, the story that motivates. Then it will be to be announced for Wednesday and also to be announced for the following Thursday show. And then next week, me and David will have a conversation in who has the best power system based upon the selection of ones we will be reviewing, and we'll go in an in-depth visual on those selected few, and we'll be picking to our best knowledge of what we think is the best power system in anime based upon what is selected for us to review. So with
bring
that
your
said,
dirt on Friday, please bring your dirt. I know there's not gonna be an easy conversation.
Right. So with that said, thank you guys. Right. So thank you guys for tuning on in. We'll see you guys till next time. And make sure you stay subscribed, and also make sure you have the bell notification on, because you never know when me and David may do an upload, and we may be doing that as well, as far as going around, moving content around. So with that, thank you guys for tuning on in. Peace out. Much love to everybody.